Let's freaking go. Okay. Woohoo. Oh, we're getting to some fun stuff now, man. This is we'll talk about what real is, but this season is starting to feel pretty real. This is a big win tonight. Final score, I don't even know what the final score was. I should probably pay attention to those sorts of things. Final score was 109-94. I don't think either team scored in like the last 3 minutes. That's fine. This is a big win over the Boston Celtics at home. I know the Boston Celtics did not have Jaylen Brown. They didn't really have Jason Tatum either tonight. 6 of 18, 14 points, 9 assists, as my good friend Bernardo Zarowski just texted to our Knicks text thread. Tatum kind of quit on his team. I don't know how else to say it there, but this is not a Celtics post game. We'll let them talk about that. So yeah, no Brown, bad Tatum, and the Celtics shot 9 of 42 from deep for a 21% conversion rate. Without looking it up, I have to think that's one of the 3 or 4 worst conversion rates they've had from deep in a game this season. Some of that was the Knicks. Some of that was just some misses. There was a sequence that I'm thinking of in particular midway through the fourth quarter where back-to-back misses on pretty good looks from Mike Muscala, and I think Hauser had the second one. Either of those go down. I mean, I think the first one would have made it a 7-point game. Another one would have made it would have been a nice momentum shift. They didn't make them. They didn't make a lot of threes tonight. You know why, though, I don't feel bad about this win at all? A couple reasons. First reason, Knicks won by 15. So it's not like they had to eke a game out in which the Celtics shot like shit and Brown wasn't there and Tatum didn't play particularly well. That's the first reason. Second reason, this Celtics team is deep in a way that few NBA teams are deep. They are deep. I don't know if it's oversimplistic to say they have legitimate NBA depth. Like, what does that even mean? But, like, I don't know if anybody else watched the game they played against the Milwaukee Bucks. What was it? About 3 weeks ago? Before the All-Star break. 2-3 weeks ago, in which they were trotting out their, like, B-C+ squad. And I think they took the Bucks to overtime. They almost beat the Bucks. Like, Malcolm Brogdon, guy, I don't think he ever made an all-star team. Just below an all-star level player, and you at his best, and you saw that tonight. Marcus Smart could still get after it. Derek White has been playing out of his mind. He didn't shoot that well tonight, but he's been playing out of his mind for a while now. Like, they have real NBA talent. Like guys who would be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth guys on a lot of teams that for them are like further down the totem pole. So that's the second reason I don't feel bad. Third reason I don't feel bad. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett coming into the season. Thought those were our 3 best players. I think maybe you could probably swap out one of those names for another name that we're going to talk about shortly. Tonight, those 3 players went a combined, do some quick fun math in my head, 15 for 26, 36, 42. 15 for 42 from the field. Barrett save for a stretch in the end of the second quarter, which was very important. Don't get me wrong, that was a very big stretch in which he helped give the momentum back to the Knicks after the Celtics had really violently taken it away from them and threatened to make this a very different game going into the second half. Barrett's push there at the end of the second quarter was big. Other than that, though, he was terrible. Jalen Brunson, I thought, actually was the best of the 3, and he shot 4 of 12. Not a great Brunson game. And Julius Randle had the best numbers, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. I don't know. I didn't feel like this was a great Randle game. I didn't particularly love Randle's process in this game. Made the right pass when it was there to be made. Commend him with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, making the pass out of the double team pretty quickly, doing all those sorts of things. But other than that, we've seen great Randle games of late. This was not a great Julius Randle game. If anything, it was a good, decent to good Julius Randle game. So our 3 guys, our top, again, supposed top 3, didn't show up. Who did show up? And I'm going to feel bad because I would love to just name everybody else who played, but there's 4 names in particular that deserve some commemoration. With a tip of the cap to Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, I thought, came in, played some nice minutes, made 3 or 4 from the field. His 3-pointer in the fourth quarter was very big. So I don't want to diminish Obi Toppin, but slightly below the other 4 names I'm going to mention. I don't even know what order I'm supposed to mention these guys in. I will go Mitchell Robinson and Emmanuel Quickley, 1-2 in some order, and yet that diminishes the games had by Quentin Grimes and Josh Hart. All 4 of those dudes tonight showed why the Knicks are a team that needs to be reckoned with. Because, like, Julius Randle was an all-star. He's playing at an all-star. He's actually, really, honestly, might be playing at an all-NBA level. Jalen Brunson, I don't care what was ended up being decided in terms of the all-star. He's an all-star too. Should have been an all-star. It's going to look pretty silly that he wasn't an all-star when all is said and done. Like, those 2 guys are going to do what they do for the most part, I think, down the stretch of the season, most games. But to be able to get production and impact, it's the only word you could use. It's the only word that fits. Impact. High-level impact in a way that makes the opponent feel you in a way that is discouraging and deflating and defeating. That's Mitchell Robinson when Mitchell Robinson is going right. And boy, was he going right tonight. I think, trying to decide between him and Emmanuel Quickley I'm going to have a tough time awarding a 3-star player tomorrow. Because Quickley, again, how many times have I gotten on here and I've said, I feel like I've said this about Brunson, and I feel like I've said this about Quickley. I've run out of things to say. Because what Emmanuel Quickley comes in and does game after game after, Brunson will have a bad game every now and then in which he's like not his usual all-star self. Emmanuel Quickley seems incapable of having bad games. This is a guy who started off the season in the first 20-ish games of the year, 15, 20-ish games, where you're like, man, these trade rumors are ridiculous, but like, come on, guys. It's Emmanuel Quickley. There's still some potential here. There's still a lot of talent here. We remember what this guy did over the last 2 years. And then since then, I don't know what switch flipped. I think really it's just him making shots. That's really all it is, right? 23 points tonight. The 2 6 men of the year candidates were the 2 best players in this game, with a hat tip to Mitchell Robinson, because Brogdon was excellent as well. Quickley had 23 on 7 of 13 shooting. Brogdon had 22 on 10 of 16 shooting. 2 assists, 2 rebounds for Brogdon. 2 assists, 3 rebounds for Quickley. And 4 of 7 from deep for Emmanuel Quickley. Again, I don't know what more you say about this player. Just, you feel him when he is out there, makes every little play, makes a lot of big plays. So great game from him. Mitchell Robinson, man, Hartenstein's been playing great last bunch of weeks, probably about a month now. Not a great Hartenstein game today. Mitch made up for it. More than made up for it. The Celtics, and again, it's funny how Mitch tends to get up for these games against guys he's been compared to or he measures himself with against in the past. Guys like DeAndre Ayton, he always gets up for the Ayton games. And Robert Williams, I think, is another one. And we saw that tonight. And I already mentioned Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes. Hart, this is just what Josh Hart does. The reaction to the Tatum ejection was just A+ gold standard stuff. And then I'm going to say not the best for last, but the maybe the most meaningful for last, because Quentin Grimes, with the addition of Josh Hart, with Emmanuel Quickley emerging as this, let's just say it, this team's 3rd best player. I'm not sure it's close. Like, Grimes has, I'm not going to say Grimes has gotten pushed to the side, but like, there was a point in the, like, late in the first half where I don't think Grimes had a shot attempt. And I think either Benji or Tom Piccolo tweeted out about it, like, hey, guys, maybe run an action, get Grimes going downhill. And he has gotten marginalized. And he does get lost in the offense when you have these ball-dominant guys. And then you got either RJ out there or Quickley out there or both of them out there. There's always multiple guys on the floor. So Grimes can get lost in the sauce. And it's unfair to say, okay, well then make your impact felt in other ways. But that's reality of life as a role player in the NBA. And that's always going to be probably, well, maybe famous last words, but probably what Quentin Grimes is always going to be. It's a question of, can he be an elite role player? And what we saw him do tonight was be an elite role player. For that stretch in the, make sure again, these games run together after I do them. In the third quarter, where Grimes was the most important player on the floor, making extra passes, putting the ball on the ground, and defensively, that stop on the fast break, making Derek White double pump, the whole thing. It's just great stuff. It's just really great stuff. So big win, big performances from all those guys. There's gonna be a lot of things said in this post game, and I just want to get out ahead of it. And last thing I'll say before we get to the personal injury report and moment of the game, Andrew, I'm gonna need your help for moment of the game, because this is one of those ones where it's like you anticipate the Knicks are going to play a close game down the stretch, and then when they don't, it's like, oh wait, we have to dig a little deeper for the moment of the game. So Andrew, be ready for that. But last thing I want to say, I understand that there is some dissonance, to on one hand be like, the Knicks are real. This is a real team. This is a real squad. They're good. Maybe not contender good, but they're like one notch down from contender good. And they need to be taken seriously, and they could beat almost any team on any given night unless they're playing a great team that's really like firing on all cylinders or most cylinders. Knicks are going to be able to beat any team on any given night. That's important. So why am I still going to sit here and be like, I don't know if this team is going to be able to win a playoff series, and like I'm still just like, let's get into the playoffs? Two reasons. One, the depth of the Eastern Conference. Again, Miami beat Philly tonight. Atlanta has a new coach. They're going to get a new coach bump. They're talented. Like, those two teams are still there. And I haven't even mentioned the Nets, who, like, okay, they're a half game back now. You like that. I'm not as worried about the Nets as I am about the Heat and the Hawks. Like, I am, this is just me. I'm not willing to bury those two teams to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, there's no way that both of them are going to catch the Knicks. So like, I'm still very much on the, hey, let's make the playoffs. If we get the 4th or the 5th seed, great, but let's just get in there. But more to the point, in terms of why, regardless of where they slot in, if they could make a real push and somehow get to 4th, which I don't know if I believe that's going to happen, but more likely 5th or 6th, like, why can't they win a playoff series? It just so happens that 3 of the best 4 teams maybe in the NBA this year, and you could kind of make an argument that 4 of the best 5, maybe 4 of the best 6 teams in the league, the Grizzlies have had a weird year. At worst, 4 of the best 6 teams in the league play in the Eastern Conference. And like, we could get into discussions about like, well, are the Knicks really better than the Warriors or the Clippers, or like, I guess the Mavs if they ever get their shit together. I'm sure I'm forgetting another Western Conference team or two that, you can't really fully count out if they're healthy and engaged and things are going well. Like, based on how they've played this year, the Knicks have played like no worse than, I think, the 8th best team in the league. Because I do want to give respect to Sacramento. I know the Knicks passed Sacramento in net rating. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Always looking at that net rating, which will go up tonight. But so like 6th, 7th, like the Knicks have been, one of the best 7 or 8 teams in the league this year. And yet, because of the conference they play in, and because of how top heavy that conference is, and how just stacked those teams are. And again, if you think I'm not giving enough credit to the Knicks, and I'm like being too respectful of a team like Boston or Philly or Milwaukee, like, again, the Celtics were missing Brown tonight. Tatum had a terrible game. And I don't know about you guys, my heart was in my throat until 2 minutes left. That team's ferocious, and they're good, and they usually shoot better tonight. So like, I think it's just kind of one of those years. All that being said, man, let's keep riding the wave. 6 games in a row. It's their second winning streak of as many games this season following the 8-game winning streak. Like, that's not easy to do. I think these next 2 games are important. Nets game and Heat game. Really want to get that Heat game. Really want to get that Heat game. If we ride into that Heat game, I don't want to get ahead of I'm not even going to say it. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
No. I've listened to you hedge for the last 5 minutes about how we're not as good as this team and we should still be afraid of this team that's behind us and all the Warriors who are worse than us and all these Western Conference teams who have tripped over their feet for most of the season. The Knicks have done nothing but overperform. Now they're clicking, taking the best record in the NBA out to trash. And we're hedging tonight? No, we're overreacting tonight and smoking on the Boston pack. Let's go.
Are we sure they've overperformed?
For the most of the year, yes. And then
or maybe they're actually just good. Okay. And they've always been good. And Jalen Brunson just is this good. And Julius Randle just is this good. And Emmanuel Quickley is this good. You want to tell me getting Mitch back and then the Josh Hart edition? Now we're in a different class because of that. That I'll give you.
That's what I'm talking about. We're not hedging about how Atlanta has a new coach and now we have to worry about them. Look, because Tobias Harris scored 2 points in 35 minutes, I have to be afraid of the Heat now.
If you really want to screw around and get nuts, we could talk about the Dallas game, the second Dallas game, or the Bulls game, or let one of those Brunson game-winning attempts go in between, what was it, Memphis, Milwaukee, and it was Portland. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's another game that I'm forgetting. So, like, give them 3 or 4.
Yeah, more a rebound against the Clippers, John.
A rebounding, and thank you. Yeah. There's another one I'm forgetting.
A rebound against the Clippers, a rebound against Dallas, a free throw against Chicago, all these other marginal victories that they could have had.
If we were sitting here talking about one of 4 teams in the league with 40 wins, which, again, they're 36 and 27 right now. Look, man, it's all good. It's all good stuff. It really is.
Yes.
I mean, it is a good team that is playing well and playing together, and they know who they are. They know exactly who they are. I talk about a team that knows what it has to do to win. This team knows exactly what it has to do to win at both ends of the court, and they are playing for as much as they don't get a lot of assists, they are a very unselfish team. Give them credit for that too. And they came out and they meant it tonight. They played to win. You want to do so personal injury report? You want to get this one out of the way? Weiss and Rosenblum, man, Barry, I love you. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you're happy because they're healthy and they're playing well. But we have to speed through these personal injury reports, Barry. Barry Weiss, still a good friend. If you have a case or you think you might have a case, call Weiss and Rosenblum today. Him and his lovely wife Amy. 212-366-6100. Again, Weiss and Rosenblum, personal injury attorneys. 212-366-6100. You could also visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. If you think you have a case, potential case, anything, give them a call. They'll give you absolutely free consultation. They'll give you the time of day and more. And if you want to hire an attorney, go with a veteran, not a rookie. So, yeah, no injuries.
Yeah, there is.
No injury. What?
Boston Pride was injured tonight, John. What are you talking about? Did you not watch the same game I did? The Knicks won like wire to wire by double digits, basically.
How many
against the number 1 team in the NBA?
The number
record-wise
team in the NBA record-wise that was missing its possible All-NBA.
Yes, they are worse on the floor with Jaylen Brown. Shout out advanced stats.
I got. Kids happened, so I did not get a chance to tweet out your pregame show. I loved that part of the discussion. I loved the coach discussion, of course.
That was by the way.
I love the Jaylen Brown advanced stats discussion. Jaylen Brown's good.
He's good. You just said it. They're 3 quote unquote best players. The next 3 big guys, yep. The mid 3, whatever I can't even call them the mid 3 anymore.
Don't call them that anymore.
Higher
man.
up Go to Chicago with that mid 3 garbage, by the way. The mid 3 nickname in New York has been retired. As far as I'm concerned, Brunson had to struggle through some of the tightest Boston double teams throughout the night. Julius, like you're right, his process wasn't there because they were throwing doubles at him. And we saw a different thing that we didn't see 2 years ago against Atlanta when they did the exact same thing. He was splitting the double. Like my first moment of the game as we switched to it, honestly, my nominee for moment of the game tonight.
Let's get to moment of the game. What are your nominees?
Julius gets doubled. He splits it. He dribbles to the key, And because Boston is lost on the switch, because they usually switch everything,
Yeah.
they have no idea who's guarding Josh Hart. And I don't know what Jason Tatum was complaining about, but Josh Hart is wide open in the corner for 3 after a Julius Randle 3. He then complains and gets his
assist
path. Well, wait, what I said?
After a Julius Randle 3.
No,
said.
Julius Randle hits Josh Hart in the corner for 3.
Yes. Okay.
And then Jason Tatum wants a head start on traffic because it's snowing outside and heads to the showers instead. And so the 3 by Josh Hart that led to the reaction, that led to the ejection, is my first nominee for moment.
That's a good one. Can we do man, this is so, because there's a lot of good ones. I want to say there was a really good the Grimes. You know what? I can we nominate the Grimes defensive play on Derek White to stop the fast break, and then I think Grimes on, I don't know if it was the next possession or maybe one after that, Grimes either got an assist for a 3 or made a 3 himself. But Grimes in that sequence that started with the defense on Derek White, again, that was back in the third quarter. And then for the last one,
gotta be Mitch.
Got a heart what? You gotta do something with Mitch.
Yes, I have the play too. So
which one?
During the fourth quarter, there was a stretch where Boston had cut it to 9, and I was legitimately like, okay, they haven't cut it below this the entire game. Brogdon goes up for a layup. Mitch blocks it. Knicks come down the other end.
Sprints.
Sprints
down.
The formula that's worked all year.
Yep.
Knicks miss a shot. Elite Mitchell Robinson offensive rebound, puts back. Knicks aren't below double digits the rest of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought, and look, there's an underrated one that we're not going to add. And look, I'll say it so you don't get in trouble for talking about the coach and waxing poetic about the coach. When RJ had a sequence in the fourth quarter that was less than pleasing, calls timeout, and I thought on the other side of the timeout, Brunson and Randle were coming back in. He stuck with Obi, and then the Knicks went on a 7-0 run outside of the timeout. Because I thought Obi was playing well. I thought he was closing out on the threes really well. Boston did shoot horribly from 3 tonight, but I thought the Knicks also got out in their closeouts really well. And I thought Obi had a lot to do with it. So
there was some good defense for sure.
So as a result, rewarding Obi for playing solidly so that way Julius didn't immediately have to come back into the game. It's not a moment of the game. It's an observation where I was like, oh, that actually might change the momentum here because now Julius can come back with 6.5 minutes left instead of 8.5 minutes left, and those 2 minutes might matter. So those are my 3 nominees for moment of the game, though.
Yeah, Tibbs doesn't need anybody's praise. He doesn't give a shit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give it to him anyway, if that's okay. They'll just
you can do
personally. It. Yes, I'll do it. Top down. This is an organizational win. The guy that they traded for, the guy that they took 25th overall 3 years ago, Emmanuel Quickly.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
It's an organizational win. And can I just say one last thing? And I'm getting ahead of myself here. But, I was listening to I was listening to Wendy's pod today. And they were talking about the situation in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, they were talking about the situation in Dallas. And you could go through all the way down the line about different situations around the league this year where there is either somewhere between outright dysfunction and just like things are not gelling. And there's been a lot of fun poked at this front office for, the CAA mafia thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like trying to make this into like some kind of basketball family. Like, this is the pros, guys. You can't do it this way. They have seemingly stumbled upon something. This is a group of guys that seem to like playing with each other. They play for each other. There seems to be, you want to talk about resilience? How resilient have they been all year long? And like, I think, again, and this is something I cannot know from the outside, and I don't think any person outside of the locker room could possibly know, but they strike me as a team that would not surprise me if they were very honest. And there was a very open policy as far as like, we're going to call out what's going on like it is. And we're going to, like, that's how we're going to how we're going to stay accountable. because I don't know how you can function the way that they function without that. And that is a credit to the front office for, again, what maybe seems like a crazy idea with the CAA stuff and like maybe Kentucky guys and now Villanova guys and the whole thing. But it worked. And, they allow themselves to be coached as well, which is a nice thing.
Look at the beginning of the year when we were depending on Derrick Rose for minutes, Evan Fournier for minutes, and 2 veterans. And like, I'll even throw him in this. Cam Reddish, the 3 guys that lost their jobs, didn't hear a peep. We heard like inklings from people around them, but we didn't hear a peep. That's culture. Like the other night, seeing them chant for Derrick Rose to come in the game and the way that the bench reacted to also get Derrick Rose in the game, they're in love with the veteran that might have seen the last time he has dependable minutes in the NBA. And it just like doesn't matter. It's part of the formula. Everybody wants to be a part of what's going on right now. And like as we now pivot to the super chats, a lot of other people are excited to be a part of what's going on right now. Over 1,500 people watching right now live on our post-game show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. John, let's smoke on the Boston Pack tonight.
Let's get excited. If you can't be excited about this basketball team, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing, because this is the fun part. This is the fun part. Let's get into it. Come on. Robert Cross, I was hoping we'd start here. First time, long time, John. What do you think of Mitchell Robinson telling Tatum to take his trash elsewhere? Thanks. I'll hang up and listen. Hashtag 53 wins. Robert, I don't know if you've been necessarily leading the Mitch bandwagon. There have been those who I think probably deserve that designation more than you, but you've been in the passenger seat. You've been right there. So take your bow on Mitchell Robinson. This team is built around his skill set, wisely so, because he's been bringing it this year. Easily the most consistent year of his career when he's out there, when he's been healthy. And let's hope he stays healthy because it's important. Thank you, Robert. Andrew is cluing me into the fact that this is going to be a very Robert Cross-centric start to the Super Chats. Robert Cross, it's your boy John. What do you think of RJ's play to close out the second quarter? One of the keys of long-term success is resiliency. Hashtag 53 wins. My thought is that it saved the game in the moment. That was a very rough stretch. The Celtics went on a 12-0 run. That was a game. That was a game in every way. And there was a world where this game would have went into halftime tied or close if RJ did not do what he did. And RJ has these moments. Which is why, I thought Benji's, Undertaker gif was so perfect, because that's RJ. Like, you think he's dead and he comes back and he makes some of the most important plays of the game. All that being said, got to be better. He has to be better. He was not good tonight, even with that stretch. He was not good. His play at the start of the fourth quarter was worrisome, as was his play in the first quarter. Not why. That's a bad word. Let me go back. It was not worrisome. It was just bad. Like, I'm done being worried about RJ Barrett. RJ's going to be up and down until he's not anymore. And you just got to live with it. And hopefully he gets a little bit more consistent. That's all I'm going to say. But big stretch. Robert Cross's next one. First time, long time, John. Remember the scuttle about trading IQ earlier this year? I do. Hashtag 53 wins. I will take the victory lap on that one, because I dedicated how many freaking newsletters to writing some version of, please, you idiots, do not trade Emmanuel quickly. And I'm happy I expended those words, because, if this is a team, and I wrote about it for today's newsletter, I went there. I took the bait. 1973 team was honored over the weekend. Again, great job by Benji with that post game after the Pelicans win. But if this team becomes a team that we talk about in 20, 30, 40, 50, dare I say, years. Hope I make it that long, Jesus. If it does, if this grows into a special era of Knicks basketball, I just can't imagine. I can't wait to think about how we're going to talk about Emmanuel Quickly as just such a. And I hope he's here. I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's this is the NBA. Guys don't stick around for that long with one franchise. It's just so rare, unless you're a star or superstar player, and even then, it's rare. Role players, you don't, we don't have Charlie Wards anymore. Who was with the Knicks for 10 years. Like that just doesn't happen. Or, Oakley or Starks or, like it's you get your 3, 4, maybe 5 years and then you move. It's what makes Mitch so cool. It's been around for this is 5th season and I don't think he's going anywhere. I hope Quickly's here for a long time. And I hope we get to root for him for a long time. Thanks, Robert. And last one, I believe, from Robert. It's your boy, John. You can continue to have wet dreams about Embiid. I would appreciate it if you did not talk about my wet dreams on this podcast in this format, Robert. There are children watching. I'm with Money Mitch all the way. He is a goddamn man. Hashtag 53 wins. Look, we'll have the Embiid conversation if and when it is time to have the Joel Embiid conversation. I will continue to think very highly of Joel Embiid, and I hope very much that things go poorly for Philadelphia in the playoffs this year. I will just say that.
They will, don't worry. So I actually have, courtesy of Alex, Mr. from the Land of Enchantment.
Oh.
He got a super chat in this afternoon, and YouTube did not have it saved when I showed up for the post game. So we go to the Land of Enchantment. John, read this one.
Alex, is it fair and reasonable to say that I got my super chat in before Robert? Eastern Conference Finals, here we come. You're damn lucky they didn't lose this game, because I would have pointed to you for the jinx.
But he didn't, because the Knicks are good. Overreact tonight. Let's go.
You're never going to get me to overreact. I love this team so much. Emmanuel Quickly for 6th man of the year. Hashtag Canyon of Heroes. I love you, Alex. Thank you. You did get in before Robert Cross. Regarding Emmanuel Quickly, 6th man of the year, I was trying to do some research on some different books. As best as I could tell, the odds moved from plus 10,000 to between plus 10,000, right? To like plus 6,000 to plus 7,000, in that range over the last like week. So, and that puts it, that may sound crazy, 60 or 70 to 1 odds. It does put him like 5th or 6th on the depth chart for 6th man of the year betting, after Brogdon, who's the leader in the clubhouse, Powell, who is like plus 300. And then after that, you got guys like Portis, and Russ is still up there on a few boards, and there's maybe 1 or 2 other players who I'm missing. And then you get to Quickly. I think he's going to keep making a push. I don't think I'd bet it. I don't think I'd bet it because I like the notion that he could do enough to pass Brogdon. But if we're looking up and Brogdon finishes 1st and Emmanuel Quickly finishes 2nd in the 6th man of the year voting, I'm not going to be surprised in the least. He's the 3rd best player on the team. And anyone who's watched the team for any period of time this year knows he's the 3rd best player on the team. You want to talk to me about Mitchell Robinson? Okay. Mitch also missed a bunch of time. Whereas Emmanuel Quickly, when other guys were missing time, had to step up into their roles. And nobody wears more hats on this team, and maybe any team in the NBA than Emmanuel Quickly. How's that for a reason to maybe vote for him? He does so much, plays with so many different guys, so many different lineups. His role changes within every game and between games, depending on who's there. Thanks, Alex. Dan Hidalgo, this is something entirely different than 2020. I agree. I think that this was the game that wakes up the national media. Vegas hasn't caught up yet. I know that much for sure. Yeah, so the national media has started to wake up. Wendy's usually good about this stuff. I mentioned him before. He talked about the Knicks on his pod today, and then went on TV and echoed the same sentiments, which were about that the Knicks are, going to make once again a very appealing destination for a star. We'll see. Have that conversation when the time comes. In terms of being entirely different from 2020, absolutely, it's a better team. It's a better team. That year will go down as, I think, just a very strange year. for a variety of reasons. And not to say that what the Knicks achieved in that year was like fool's gold or wasn't real, but like at the same time, and I think we talked about it. Yeah, I talked about it with Jeremy on the pod from this Sunday. Before the 9-game winning streak, which was like came with like whatever, what was it, like 20 games to go in the year or some amount, like more than 50 games into the season, they were an under 500 team. You know, like they were a gritty defensive unit that like was still a bottom, very, very, very clearly a bottom 8 offense. You know, and it got a little bit better after Derrick Rose got there, and they were a very good offense for a stretch. But like they were still, you know, they weren't like this team. This team's a good. I mean, I forget I don't want to hear any discussions about like smoke and mirrors about how the Knicks are a good offense. We're 60 plus games into the season. We'll get the updated rankings from Andrew pretty soon, but they're a top 8 offense in the league. You can't smoke and mirrors that for 60 plus games. And the defense, I think we know what the defense is capable of when they're fully healthy. So yeah, it's a better team. I don't want to say it's not close because that's disrespecting that team, but I kind of feel like it's not close. Thanks, Dan. Jesse M. This felt like a get out of Dodge fast type of win. I mean, coming down the stretch, watching that, this was not the best last 5 minutes. I am happy the lead what it was, and I am happy that several threes in the last half of the fourth quarter did not go down. That's the thing. It's like a lot. Like their execution to start the game was very good, and their execution in the third quarter I thought was excellent. But their third quarter, and that was the quarter that won them the game, right? The third quarter, the Celtics came out, the Celtics made some shots, the Celtics made their push. The Knicks withstood every punch that the Celtics gave them, and they gave it right back. Which is why you could argue that of the 10 most important plays of this game, 6 came in the third quarter. It felt like that watching. So great third, good start to the game, not great closeout, and I would say not like great execution throughout a lot of this game. So yeah, thanks, Jesse. Hamdi M, thank you for the contribution. There is huge, and then there is huge. Got the Staten Island accent coming out of me now. Huge win. It's very big. It's but like again, how big is it really when we beat this team? So again, let's just kind of refresh because it does all tend to run together after a while. We beat this team in Boston with Jaylen Brown. We also beat Cleveland right before that, the game right immediately before that. Beat Miami, should have beat the freaking Clippers. Beat Philadelphia when they were fully healthy. Whooped them. Evan Fournier, thank you very much for participating. And now they won this game. And you want to throw in a couple other games maybe, that you want to qualify as big wins. But just in this last stretch since January 24th, so we're talking about essentially a month plus a couple of days, some really big wins over quality opponents. So, yeah. Thanks, Andy. Animal Miles, can we say the Knicks are good now? Yeah, absolutely. That conversation's over. The Knicks are good. Alex with another one. I love this team. It's so easy to love this team. And it's so funny because we are sitting here and it is end of February, about to be the beginning of March. And not too long ago, I don't think you would have said that about that. Or I think maybe we would have said that, me and you, Alex, and some other people, and, probably a lot of people watching this. I think this team was very frustrating to a lot of people. And obviously the coach had a lot to do with that and how they started this season and how long it kind of took them to get to where they arrived at. And, all of that stuff and like the Randall of it all, like it took people time to embrace Randall again. Even, again, it sounds crazy to say now, but like the Laker game was a month ago, less than a month ago. Actually, no, exactly a month ago, because we're sitting here and it's the second to last day of February, and the Laker game was the last day of January. And that whole thing was fire the coach, trade Randall. And they're obviously big parts of the team. It's coach and the nominal best player. So I think in the last month things have really turned around, and that's cool. They deserve it because they work hard, and they are a good team. Robert Cross, good to see that you are well rested after your vacation. Now I am well rested. I feel good. I'll be up late tonight, so hopefully it doesn't take all of the rest out of me that I got in Florida. But happy to be up late tonight. Are you ready to concede the Knicks are a dark horse for the Eastern Conference Finals? Hashtag 53 wins. I love that you asked me the exact same freaking question that you asked Benji the other night. I'm going to give you the same answer. No. Can they win a playoff series? Yeah. Yeah, sure. They could win a playoff series, especially if they get in that 4-5 spot. Can they beat Cleveland? Yeah, they can beat Cleveland. Will I pick them to beat Cleveland? Probably not. Can they beat Philly? Man, the breaks that it would take. But yeah, sure, maybe. The James Harden of it all, the Doc Rivers of it all. But then you do that. You're going to tell Andrew in the chat here, they could win 3 playoff series. Yeah. This Boston team and Milwaukee. Here's the thing, Robert. It's Boston and Milwaukee. In my opinion, they are the 2 best teams in the league. I think it is a possibility that when fully healthy and engaged, they are the 2 best teams in the league, and it might not be close. I still want to see what the hell Golden State can be when it gets healthy, and can they get their shit together? Excuse me. But they are so good, and you're going to have to beat one of those 2 teams to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals in all likelihood. And that's where I'm just like, man. And I understand we've beaten Boston the last 2 times. I get it. I think we match up pretty well with them. I think we could beat them a game, 2 games, 3. But to knock that team out in a 7-game series, man, God. Can't get there yet, Robert. I wish I could. And boy, can you throw it in my face if I'm wrong. Oh, my God. Here's Andrew again. Andrew's not going to let me live tonight down.
Oh, I didn't realize I was on. Hi, John. By the way, I just texted you something. Can you tell everybody what it is?
Got my phone here.
Mm-hmm.
Get the old okay. This appears to be a betting slip.
Yes.
For the Knicks to win a $5 wager. Can I say, is that okay that I said that?
Yeah, $5, yeah.
For the Knicks to win the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, you're getting plus 4,200.
So you're getting 420 to 1 odds. Did I read that correctly?
Basically, yeah. $5 to win 215.
No, so that can't be 420.
It's probably $5
to
win
1
210. Whatever, 42 to 1 odds. The point being,
42 to 1 odds is still pretty good.
Money where my mouth is. I'm here to overreact tonight. My only question: should I have bet more, or should I also have bet the finals?
You should have bet more money on them making the finals.
Okay. No, to win the finals, I'm saying.
I think you should have bet more money on them to make the finals.
Should we start? Well, this is a bet for them to make the finals, obviously.
Yes, you should have bet more than $5.
Should we start planning out the content plan for? Sorry, everybody hates that I use the word content. What we're gonna do plan when they win the champion. Do we want to see about a float on the Canyon of Heroes, or do you want to be at City Hall and meet everybody there, or? It's plus 11,000 when the finals. You know what? Fuck it. Here's $5.
Maybe we could rent a rooftop.
Screw it. Sorry. Screw it. Bleep it. My bad. Rent a rooftop. Go ahead.
Rent a rooftop around City Hall so we could have the watch party from atop, maybe the Woolworth building would be willing to rent out one of their top floors. It's pretty close. You could probably get some good views there.
Adding it to the notes, and we'll make it happen. Don't worry, Robert. We'll make sure you're there too.
Let's get on that. We'll fly Robert in. I will personally fly Robert in if the Knicks win the championship. DJ MKC, thank you for the contribution. 6-0 since our heart transplant. That's a great line. Good job by you, man. I love this team, but the prevent offense with more than 4 minutes to go is brutal. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, Brunson getting the ball across half court right as it's 16 on the clock. It's tough because this team, it's not that they can't still run successful offense this way. Look, to a certain extent, it's how they're built, right? They're built to get the switch, get the matchup they want, and let their guys, Brunson and Randall, attack what they consider a mismatch. And one of three things is going to happen. Four things is going to happen. They're going to make a tough shot because that's what they've done all year long. They're going to get fouled. They're going to miss a shot, and the other team is going to get a rebound. Or they're going to miss a shot, and Mitchell Robinson is going to get a rebound and put it back. When you put it like that, like I'm having Fred Katz on the pod tomorrow night, and I was thinking about how I want to start the conversation with him, and I was thinking about asking, like, well, can we talk about how the Knicks are like, they grade out as an elite team as far as net rating and offense, and yet they're still freaking 23rd or 24th in effective field goal percentage. I think the way I just explained it is kind of that explains it. It's because this is how they've built their team. They get fouled a lot. They get a lot of offensive rebounds. And so the prevent offense, now here's the thing though, is it's like in those sorts of situations, a good defensive team will bear down. They won't foul. They will box out. And so really it takes it from one of four possibilities to like oftentimes one of two possibilities, which is just make or miss. And given that it's tough shots and like teams are prepared for the switch and the whole thing, your odds start to go down and down and down and down and down. So it's like, yes, that's why the prevent offense isn't great and why they should do some other stuff in those situations. But like that's their go-to. It's what they feel comfortable with, and it is on them. It is on the coach to get them out of that comfort zone in those situations. So, yeah, thanks, DJ. Sam Garcia, what's going on, Sam? You could have put F asterisk asterisk asterisk. F Boston. I'll just say that. Love it. Hamdy M with another one. I love IQ. Sorry, I meant I heart IQ. I heart IQ. There's a t-shirt in there somewhere. Yeah, it's great. They're both Hart and Quickly. I'm so happy those guys get to play together. I hope they play together for the next 10 years. Dan Hidalgo, IQ is so good. Very happy we didn't move him. I wonder, like, I'm not talking out of turn here. Fred Katz reported on this. Fred Katz came on my pod and talked about this. Like, the Knicks were talking to a lot of teams. They were not only taking calls, they were making calls. But, like, I don't know that we could say that they were ever really close to moving him. Like, I think their price was always really super high. And when you look at how this team is operated under this regime, I don't think it's crazy to say that, like, their price was super high. I don't think that would be out of that would be the norm. So, like, maybe they were just like, hey, maybe someone really blows us away with like a really good first, and then it obviously got to the point where that conversation was over because he is instrumental to their team. Yeah. Anthony Sixto. Oh boy, Josh Hart. Them some fighting words. Sorry, this is per Steph Bondi. Josh Hart. We don't want to make the playoffs. We want to make a run in the playoffs. Why don't you throw some more chum in the water? I don't think the Sharks are circling vociferously enough. Josh, my Lord, you know who you're talking to here. You know who I am? I'm poor freaking Richard Dreyfuss in the cage. That's who I am. Give me my little harpoon gun. Oh, God. Anthony Sixto. Sorry, I should read Andrew's chat. We are overreacting tonight, Jonathan. That's what he typed. Anthony Sixto. I love the absolute swagger Quickly played with tonight. You could see he was loving the competition out there. Hashtag bye-bye Tatum. I think that to me was always, forget the freaking numbers. Forget the advanced stats. I mean, don't forget them, but like, yes, consider the advanced stats and consider the fact that like This guy just doesn't take plays off, and he does so many things that help the team win. More than all of that, who could be more built to play under the brightest lights in professional sports than Emmanuel Quickley? Like, I know his clutch numbers, maybe have not been great. They weren't great last year. I haven't checked on them this year. I don't think, quite frankly, I don't think he's gotten a ton of clutch opportunities this year. But, like, being able to play in New York, that's a 48-minute thing. And you need that swagger for 48 minutes. And he's got it, man. You want to talk about a guy who was not afraid to come in and be the best player on the New York Knicks tonight because that's what they needed him to be? Emmanuel Quickley. All the love in the world for that dude. Absolutely. Can't say enough good things about him. Hannibal Miles. Though I can't help but notice the fourth quarter play improvement when RJ was taken out of the game. Yeah, I mean, look, it's the elephant in the room right now. It is what it is. We could all acknowledge it. His play continues to be up and down. I got very hopeful after the first 2 games out of the All-Star break. This was a step back. Yeah, it was rough. It was not great tonight. It's okay. Keith, what's going on, Keith? Welcome back, Mac. God, I'm in love with this team. Don't care if Brown was out for Boston. We earned this. They absolutely earned it. Like, I don't care what Boston shoots from 3. I don't care who's out for Boston. You do not luck into a win against the Boston Celtics. They are the one team in the league, I think, outside of maybe Denver, because Jokic is so freaking good. And Milwaukee, too, deserves to be put in that. You do not fall into a win against the Boston Celtics. You earn a win against the Boston Celtics. And my God, did they earn that win against the Boston Celtics tonight. Mitch has truly shown his presence immediately after returning. Yes, he has. No easing back in for Mitchell Robinson. And last from Keith, we are here. Huge win as always. Shouts to KFS. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate your generosity as always. Appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, we're here. We back, man. Frank Miranda. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Great team win tonight. We should get you. Why you gonna bring the negativity, Frank? We should get used to RJ on the bench in late game situations. They should persevere. They should preserve, whatever trade value he has left, and not expose him further. I talked about this, I think, before the break. That's not a conversation anymore. Like that. Yeah. My God, I was gonna make a reference that would be lost on almost everybody watching. Screw it. I'll do it. There was an episode of Sex and the City way back in the day where Miranda was looking to get married to Steve, and she was shopping for wedding dresses. And they kept trying to put her in a white wedding dress. And she looked at the sales associate, and she's like, I have a baby. The jig is up. Which is to say, it's the reason why they used to put women in white wedding dresses. It's neither here nor there. The point is, I don't know why Sex and the City references continue to come into my brain 20 years after the show has gone off the air. That's probably too much information about me. Anyway, the jig is up with RJ Barrett. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody around the league knows what's going on. There is no preserving any value. He is what he is. He is what he is to this team. Hopefully he plays better. That said, like, they need him. So they're going to keep trotting him out there. And if he plays well, he's going to close games. And if he doesn't play well, he's not going to close games. And that's exactly how it should be, because third pick or no third pick, $100 million contract or no $100 million contract, there are 2 sacred cows on this team, Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, and they have earned that designation because one was an all-star and one should have been an all-star. There are no other sacred cows. Not Emmanuel Quickley, not Josh Hart, not Quentin Grimes, and not RJ Barrett. Whichever 2 of those 4 are the best players in that game, those are the 2 who should close the game. And I don't want to hear about trade value. I don't want to hear about this or that. That's how it has to be from here on in. As it should be. Ham DM, welcome to the party. Obi, finally. Listen, Obi's going to be fine. That's another guy. It's like, I don't worry about Obi. We know what Obi could do. The different situation with Obi. Obi just needs time and ideally a proper situation for him. But he did well with the minutes and the opportunity that he was given tonight. Impactful minutes. Kevin Danishevsky, these are the best Knicks of my lifetime. Whoa! Oh, man, you always throw grenades into these. 2012-13 team's net rating was tied in a weaker league. Mitch, what did they finish? Plus 2.3, right? It's very sad that I know that off the top of my head. Mitch was awesome. Emmanuel quickly playing at an all-star level over the last month. Wow, that's aggressive. This team. Man, I would pay to see that matchup. That team versus this team. 12-13 versus 22-23. I mean, that team had Melo, but this team has Brunson and Randall. You know, they had Tyson, we have Mitch. They had JR, we have Quickly. I like how I'm referring to the current team as we and that team as they. You could, I mean, that's another one. The jig is up. I have never really formed the emotional connection with that team, even though I did say on a pod recently that it was probably my favorite season. I don't have the emotional connection to that team that like Andrew does, for example. So like you go down the line, the difference is they had that veteran leadership and veterans who could still play at a certain level. This team is younger, which I think maybe that's the compromise, is like maybe even if that team was a little bit better, and it's tough to compare to because different league has changed so much. This team has more potential, and this is the team that, and I think a lot of people feel this way, which is that like there was it very much felt like there was a time limit on the 12-13 team. It feels like we're just getting started here, which is the coolest part of this. Truly. Thanks, Kevin. Hush Zoo, loving the streak, but RJ is killing me, man. Yeah, I mean, it's the downer. There's always going to be a downer, right? There's always going to be a downer. He'll play better next game. I'm going to talk it into existence. Ryan Menzies, Buck Foston. I love the creativity there. We got to keep it PC for our younger viewers, younger listeners. Appreciate that. Thanks, Ryan. I co-sign. Jason M. Sweating buckets in a semi blowout is not fun. LOL. Yeah, it was a bit dicey there at the end. But listen, part of this team's personality is how they close out games, or rather how they do not close out games. Let's just give them this. They've gotten better at it, right? They've gotten better. Like, when's the last time we sat here and we talked about a blown lead? Like, it's been a while. So good job by them winning the game, when they ended up winning it handily. Busy! New York Knicks, big defensive energy. Or is it big D energy? It says big D energy. I understand D could mean a couple different things there. I'm going to choose to read it as big defensive energy. And if everybody else wants to read it differently, they are free to do so. And I will not begrudge them. Carolina Knicks fan, 6-0 with Josh Hart. That is all. Yeah, man. Perfect trade, perfect player for this team. Glove, hand in glove fit. And more than that, and like, I feel bad because Deuce McBride had a nice year. Nice step forward for Deuce. I think he showed he's an NBA player, NBA rotation player could be an NBA rotation player for a decent team if he gets the offense, continues to work out the offense. They needed what Josh Hart brings them. Because just think about it, like Deuce would come in the game and you knew you'd get probably very good defense, but at the same time, his defensive imprint on a game versus Hart's defensive imprint on a game, it's very different. And then you factor in the rebounding, and then you factor in the transition stuff, and then you factor in, obviously, the offense. And it's just like, they needed it. They weren't as good. before they got Josh Hart, and they're a better team now. And they're, I think, maybe a considerably better team. Thanks, Carolina Knicks fan. Matt, Aussie Knicks fan. Let's go. 5th seed. We officially back. F Boston. A lot of that's another thing. It's like I don't have the natural Boston hatred. My hatred will always be for Indiana and Boston. Those are the two teams that I will always despise the most. And I am learning very quickly to despise Atlanta. F Trae Young. And I don't care. I don't care for Brooklyn either, even though I live here. So yeah. Stevens Guillaume, 6 in a row. Give me that 5th seed. The vibes are transcendent. Good word. Man, I hope they could keep the 5th seed. Freaking Philly, man. You couldn't beat Miami tonight? Final score of that game was 101-99. I have no idea how they actually won. It seems like they won on a Jimmy Butler reverse layup. What else is new? But yeah, I'm not as worried about the Nets as I am the Heat, and with a little bit the Hawks. But I think they can hold it. Andrew types in our chat here. Counterpoint: the Knicks gained a game on the Sixers for the 3 seed. 6 back in the loss, Andrew. With 19 games to go. Calm your jets. Unless the Sixers are the what was that Mets year where they lost like a 7-game lead?
Why? Why are we bringing up the Mets? Why? That was a straight shot. I sat here quietly while Kevin waxed poetic about a team that hasn't even won a playoff series, that they're better than the actual best team this century, the 2013 New York Knicks. And I let that go. And yet here we are.
I knew that was painful for you.
I just, whatever. But thank you, Kevin, for the delusional super chat. I always appreciate when you come in with those. It's a straight shot at Melo. I've accepted it. It's just going to happen. Why did the Mets get brought up here? What did I do other than enjoy the victory that my New York?
You know why?
I'm even being nice. Like I'm sharing with my Yankee brethren the hatred of Boston tonight.
You know why?
And yet I get this straight shot.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because I hate fun.
That's why you didn't like the 2013 team. That's also why you're tempering expectations tonight. Okay, that's why this is going on, because John hates fun.
Because John hates fun.
Hashtag John hates fun.
That's
there you go.
Good one. I love it.
Yeah.
Sam L. Taste the continuous soup. It's thickening up, baby. You just reminded me that was a random thing that Wendy brought up on his pod today. Bringing up that they still have Evan Fournier's contract. Part of the Evan Fournier's contract right now may be the most key ingredient in the continuous soup, along with the contract of one other player who has apparently caused some consternation amongst some fans tonight. We don't have to talk about him though.
Talking about RJ, right?
Yes.
Can I be completely honest? And DJ Zulo and Benji pointed this out in our little chat. His offensive game was awful tonight. I actually thought
defensively.
Defensively, he was outstanding tonight. That second quarter was great.
You're right.
You know, he matched,
you're right.
Which I think that's the adjustment we're all going to have to make. Him being part of a big three probably isn't right for the role that he now has on this team. He's a role player that is supporting this big two. And if he can match the output that a Quentin Grimes get, and sometimes even exceed that offensively and give us, like the Pelicans game, like be your leading scorer, like that's fine. But there will be nights like this where I just need you to defend Jason Tatum and like have some type of gravity on the offensive end, you know?
And again, his gravity in the second quarter was outstanding. I think the frustrating part comes, and it is definitely in a lot of our heads at this point, certainly in my head, it's been in my head for a while, is the way, and Benji has talked about this better than anyone. He speaks about this very eloquently. The way he is poor offensively is what it is. I don't need to describe it. We all watch the games, but we all know it's like when RJ's in that bad offensive stretch, it weighs everything down so much. That is the reason why I will give people a pass for being critical. You know,
I get it, and maybe I've just made the adjustment already that like he's the number 3 guy. Like or not even. He's like there are going to be a lot of times he's not going to close. You know, if this was last year where the only hope is that he becomes like he takes a leap and that's the thing to look forward to, then fine. We got, in the words of Josh Hart, a playoff run to look forward to. And whatever role he plays on that playoff run, I'll be okay with.
You know,
go ahead.
I was going to say his impact is very different than this player, but in terms of his offensive fluctuations, it's kind of like a little bit like Dylan Brooks. Like Dylan Brooks could have. Is that crazy?
No. I'm not completely disagreeing with that.
Yeah, like Dylan Brooks could have. I mean, he'll have games where it's like, oh my god, this is the most important offensive player on the floor, and then he'll have other games where it's like, oh my god, Dylan Brooks, please stop. RJ goes about it a little bit different way, but yeah, that was a comp that came to mind.
Can I give you an even crazier comp for Josh Hart? That I know the Busher
for
thing
Hart.
is, yeah, for Josh Hart.
Okay.
2015, the Mets traded for Yoenis Cespedes. How'd that season go? Oh, wow. Since you wanted to bring up the Mets,
I'm trying to think who that would have been like if they traded for who at the deadline. Because Cespedes, I know they re-signed Cespedes and he was still like relatively young, but Cespedes, it felt like a mercenary they were bringing in. You know,
it would have been like if they traded for Kevin Durant. That's what that would have been.
Yeah, but Kevin Durant wasn't getting traded here.
But that's to your point about like an older player who was injury prone.
I'll give you the guy.
Who?
Well, so he's not injury prone, but in terms of like realistic trade scenarios that could have taken place this year, it would have been like if they traded for DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that would be okay.
I mean, and again, you want to talk about a guy that could take this offense from being like a top 7-8 offense to like a top. I mean, God, you put DeMar DeRozan on this team.
I like Josh Hart personally.
Yeah. To be very clear, I'm very clear with the transaction they did, and I do not want them to trade for DeMar DeRozan. But like, that's the Cespedes comp. Dan Hidalgo with another one. The Knicks aren't afraid of anyone in the East. Don't blame them. I don't think they're afraid, and they shouldn't be afraid. Like, despite my giant wet blanket tonight. Like, the Knicks should go into every game with the expectation that they are going to win the game. That is how good they have played. And they should go into a playoff series thinking they're going to win the playoff series. Why the hell shouldn't they? They're good. You're asking me what I'm going to sit here and pick when the time comes. That's a different question. Rodrigo Gallegos. Jaylen Brown will secure such a bag. RJ infuriates with his mistakes. IQ, Hart, Robinson are beautiful, and I love them. Oh, yeah, Jaylen Brown's going to get paid a lot of money. And interesting news today. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but Shams had an update on the CBA negotiations. Apparently, and look, people have been hinting that this is in the works for a while now. It was even hinted at before the trade deadline. It seems like they're going to do away with the max extension percentage increase being 120% of your last year of your current contract, and up that to something like 140 to 150%. If that's the case, then we might not be getting a Jaylen Brown free agency or an OG Anunoby free agency, or maybe throw in a couple other guys who are currently slated to headline what would be a very good 2024 class. So free agency might indeed be dead, or as dead as we've been saying. Andrew, you look confused.
It's off topic. What are you talking about? The Knicks net rating in 2013 was 2.3.
Was it not 2.3? Was I off?
4.5.
In 2012-13?
I'm staring right at it. I've even made sure to be like, did I sort something different? No, the 54 and 28 Knicks in 2012-13 had
what
the
7th
best net rating.
7th best net rating.
Tied, technically 6, because they're tied with Memphis for the 6th best net rating. So by like percentage points. 3rd in offense, and then much lower in defense, 19th.
I think I was thinking probably of the previous year, which I know they were lower. Yeah, 4.5 is high.
Yeah, 3.2 in 2011, 2012, the 36 and 30 season. So there's your numbers, Kevin. There you go.
Oh, you know what 2.3 was?
Was it the Knicks net rating going into tonight?
No, it was 2.3 was in the We Hear season. Check that. That I know I'm not wrong on.
I haven't updated on the advanced stats, by the way. The Knicks net rating in the We Hear season was 2.4. You were close, but
Okay.
that's where it is.
I knew there was a
2.4.
significant season where they had a 2.3 net rating. But bad job by me thinking it was 12-13. Yeah, that 12-13 team was good.
9th in net rating, and then an advanced stats update before I head back down. The New York Knicks are currently now sixth, I should say, in offensive rating. They are
probably going to move up to what, 12th?
Up to 12th. I had said it on our bingo card that they're going to finish top 10 in offense and defense. Mensa has them finishing top 8. The way things are going, maybe that's in play. But they're currently 12th at 113.2. And then net rating, the New York Knicks have the 7th best net rating in the NBA, ahead of the Sacramento Kings and behind the Milwaukee Bucks, who have not lost since January.
And this is such a funky year. There's a real possibility that the Knicks are going to finish this year as one of like 4 teams that are going to be top 10 in both. Man, I'd bet on it. I'd bet on them finishing top 4 in both.
Dang.
Yeah. Or top 10 in both, excuse me.
No, top 4. I'm glad you finally overreacted.
There you go.
You're waiting all night.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rodrigo. Appreciate it. Jean-Baptiste Peron. Not true every game, but so happy I stayed up until 3 a.m. Happy for you, man. You got to see a good one. Refs didn't want me to sleep. Let's go Knicks. Cheers. Cheers to you, man. Thank you. Thank you for chiming in from a very far distance away. Appreciate you, man. Jordo. NBA, y'all sleeping. Knicks a contender now. Okay. This is the energy I'm here for. I like it. Juanan, we're 63 games into the season, and the Knicks are 9 games over 500 and on a 6-game winning streak. If you're complaining after tonight, please get the F out of here and burn anything orange and blue you own. I love the energy that Juanan brings to these now. This is a running theme for him, and I love that theme. Because it is appropriate. This team, I mean, we always talked about the We Hear season being so special because they so outkicked their coverage. They so vastly exceeded expectations. The books had them as winning 21 and a half games. That was the one that I consistently saw. Maybe a couple have had them more like 22 and a half, but I remember seeing 21 and a half, and they won 41 games. Massive outperformance. We are nearing a similar level of not that level, but only because when you pick to finish last, you can outperform it by that much more. One can argue that it's easier to outperform a predicted last place finish by 20 games than it is to outperform a predicted middle of the road finish, which is the books had them at 39 and a half wins. One could argue that it's harder to outperform that by even close to 10 games, because that means you're making a leap from the absolute definition of NBA mediocrity, just under 40 wins. And this team is so they have won their winning percentage, 571. That's over a full 82 games. That's a 47 win pace. So that would be outperforming by 7.5. And their pace has obviously been better since they started 10 and 13. So really they've been a dozen games over 500 since the 23 game mark. So if they could get up to, man, I can't believe I'm saying this. If they could get up to 48, maybe, 48 wins, man. I'm getting ahead of myself here. That would be wild. That would be wild. Busy. I can't figure out why the Celtics were doubling everyone in that second quarter. They seem to be compromising their defense, and we were making them pay. Any ideas? Weird defense. I think the Celtics trust their rotations. I think they trust their ability to help and recover. And I think that they were banking on the Knicks making mistakes. And you look at who they were double. I mean, Celtics are just, it's a lot of arms, a lot of length. And it's not only the double, it's the other guys being prepared to get in the passing lanes off of the double, off of the pass out of the double. That's the luxury you have when you have a team that last season had, 5 or 6 players get all defense votes. So you could flip that around in its head and say, okay, well, if you got all these guys who are so good at defense, why aren't you just playing straight one-on-one? And I think that's fair. But I think the Knicks were kind of punishing them one-on-one. And that's what the Knicks, that's the thing we always go back and forth about, Busy. Is like, that's why the Knicks, having Julius Randle do his thing and having Jalen Brunson do his thing, it is important. It is important because it establishes a baseline for which these teams have to reckon with and have to say, like, Jesus, man, okay, most cases you're like, sure, you want to go one-on-one with us with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, have at it. But when you factor in the other things that I was talking about before, which is the fouls, the foul shooting that comes from that. And Jalen Brunson got to the line. I think he got to the line at least 10 times tonight. Excuse me. Jalen Brunson got to the line a dozen times tonight. Julius Randle got to the line 9 times tonight. Manuel quickly got to the line 6 times tonight. And then you factor in, Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass. And all of a sudden, it's like, man, it's more than just dealing with the ISO. So it's that trickle-down effect, I think, that forced Boston to reconsider and be like, hey, let's try something else. Let's try to force some turnovers. Let's try to get into – because that's the other part about when you force turnovers on the Knicks, it's free baskets. Or it has been free baskets for the entirety of the year. We saw them defend some transition opportunities nicely tonight. Again, we mentioned the big Grimes defensive play, but Hart will help there as well. Has helped already. They force teams into making difficult choices. For a team that doesn't have a superstar, they could hurt you in a lot of ways, man. It's a good team. Danny Gardner, what's going on, Danny? I love this team. They are really, really, really good. No flukes. They play hard, mostly smart, and have an unwavering belief in each other. Yeah, I think you phrased it well. I feel more comfortable with really, really, really good as opposed to great. And then I think about, well, what's holding them back from being a great team? It's funny. I don't worry about defense. I'd like to have that jumbo wing defender. Your Tatum or your Kawhi or your Paul George or your OG Anunoby or your trying to think of some other. I mean, those are great offensive players. There are jumbo wing defenders who are not, who aren't great offensive players that I'm not probably thinking of right now. But like, you'd love to have one of those guys on the defensive end. But like, I'm not worried about their defense. I still, for as much as I just blew smoke up their butts about how they can beat you in a lot of ways despite not being a great shooting team, I do still think that when opposing teams have time to game plan for their offense in the playoffs, it's going to be a little bit of a tougher go to score. But they can do it. Randall's that good. Brunson's that good. Mitch is that impactful. And like, here's the crazy thing. I still don't think this team has hit its stride as far as shooting. Like, I'll look it up right now, but like I'm pretty sure they're still in the bottom 10 in the league in terms of 3-point shooting percentage. So like, I think that could get better. I really do think that could get better. Benji's been saying it all year. Like, Grimes, we're waiting for that Grimes 3-point run. Yeah, 3-point shooting percentage. The Knicks this year are 22nd. They're shooting 34.8% from deep. Like, I think they could be better than that. I really do. Barry Craver, what's going on, Barry? Let me help you out with your asterisks or stars of the game. I was like, Quick, Hart, and Mitch. Our all-star and our should-have-been all-star don't make the cut, and both were good. That's our team. Yeah, you phrased it very well. I got to tell you, I'm leaning Grimes over Hart. And that's maybe a little bit of grading on a curve because, like, again, I kind of feel bad that Grimes has gotten marginalized and Hart, like, he's just taking the city by storm, and that's probably not fair of me. I'm leaning Grimes over Hart. We'll see. Thanks, Barry. Okay. Will Oliver, Hart's tech reaction was everything. He is one of us. Again, maybe I'm a little too naive. I don't worry for 1 second he's going anywhere. They're going to pay him, and I think he loves being in New York. He is one of us. Rob DeLusma, JM, and our man Andrew. Please talk about how these Knicks had an answer for every Celtics push. I love this team and KFS. Hashtag can't stand green. Thank you. We love you too. Third quarter, and just enough plays in the fourth quarter. Absolutely. And it's funny because, like, this team over the first 30, 40 games was defined by, more than anything, their inability to take a punch. If you punch them, they would not respond well. They would respond poorly. And, well, we still see remnants of the sins of the earlier part of the year. Again, last 4 or 5 minutes of this game were not pretty. They really do withstand a lot. And you can't knock them out. Again, it's amazing. And Benji nailed it on the post game after the Pelicans game. They just don't get blown out. I think they were a little unnerved when Mitch went down, where they had that couple of game stretch. But they're just in everything. They stay in it. They find a way. Dom the dentist. I just want you to know, John, after every Knicks game, my wife asks me, are you going to watch The Teacher now? Welcome back. We missed you. Thank you. I miss doing these. Again, great job. Great job, Mensa, Sean, and Benji. I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but take my word for it. It's not easy to do these things. It takes a while to get used to doing these things for 5 freaking years. My God. And they did a wonderful job, and I enjoyed listening to their reactions. And it was actually something, was as much as I missed reacting to those games, in particular the Washington game, because the Washington game was so thrilling, and the Pelicans game too, because of the 1973 team being there. There was something kind of cool about, like, sitting back and basically being one of you guys for a couple nights and just listening to other people react. And but yeah, it's great to be back. I'm happy. Thank you for wanting me back. And yeah, the teacher is still doing his thing. Can I tell you? Jessica, what's going on, Jess? Josh Hart, he's an absolute menace on defense. I love everything he does. Such an amazing addition. Hashtag steals the ball and my heart. IQ is amazing. Brunson too. Randall had a good game. Mitch being back is huge. Let's go Knicks. I love Jessica with the everlasting positivity. I love that about you. You bring up Hart's defense in particular. When Mitch is out there, and when you have 2 out of the 3 of Hart, Quickly, and Grimes, which you basically have you don't have it for the first 6 minutes of the game, and you don't have it. He takes out RJ for the last 2 minutes of the first half, 2-3 minutes of the first half. First 5-6 minutes of the second half, so 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, There is going to be at least a dozen minutes a game, 12, 13, 14 minutes a game where you will not have that. But for like between 25 and 30 minutes every game, you are getting two of those three, Grimes, Quickly, Hart, and Mitch. And the reason why that is important is because when you have three of those guys out there, Mitch and two of those wings, defensively, it is just, you're not going to get the breakdowns that we were used to seeing in the early part of the year and that we saw at times when this team was just trying to outscore opponents when their defense stunk when Mitch was out, but they were doing enough to win games. Like, you get less and less of those breakdowns when all of those guys are out there because, and I think Benji had a tweet earlier showing some video of Quickly and Randall. And I don't want to disparage Randall or RJ or Brunson or even Obi, like any of those guys, Hartenstein. Like, those guys have really good defensive moments. Randall in particular has had some great defensive moments over the last month. But there's a little bit more volatility there defensively. Whereas with those other guys, anyway, the tweet that Benji sent out was showing Quickly calling out a switch before the switch even needed to occur. And I think it was a peel switch. I'm not great on the terminology. But, like, you know, he was there on the guy in the corner in more than enough time. Like, they anticipate, they react, they're in your face, they close out hard, they don't foul that much. You know, it's just makes life really hard. You got that sort of wing defense to deal with. And then Mitch waiting down below. Not easy to score against this team. MK21, second game in a row. Hart, IQ closing. I'm here for it. I mean, again, there's no question what their best unit is. Their best unit is Brunson, Randall, Hart, Quickly, and Mitch. It just is what it is right now, you know? And if RJ's having a great game or Hart's having a great game or maybe even Hartenstein's having a great game, maybe Obi having a great, any of those guys having a great game, a little tougher with Obi, but like if those other three are having a great game, like they might find themselves in there. But it's their best five. It's their best five. So I'm glad they closed. Greg Film Stuff, thank you for the very generous contribution, my friend. F Boston, first off. Second, Grimes not getting his first shot until the third quarter is ridiculous, as well as Barrett going 0-4 in the first half. I don't know what you mean by Barrett going 0-4 in the first half. Barrett definitely made some shots in the first half, maybe the first quarter. The ball needs to move more with the starters. I do not know where this team is without IQ. Yeah, I mean, I talked about it at the start with Grimes. He gets marginalized. That's going to happen. It's going to happen when he shares the floor with those other three players. Should it happen? No. Is it something they can improve on? Yes. They did not do a great job of it this game. They have been better at it most of the time. Like, Grimes usually gets the ball more. He usually shoots the ball more. I don't know exactly what his I'll look it up actually as we're going through the super chats, but like, he's not, trying to think of a guy who has an extraordinarily low usage rate in the NBA, but he's not one of those guys that has like a bottom basement level usage. But I will look it up because I agree with you, but I think you're being maybe a little bit too harsh on this particular point, even if it might be deserved tonight. Next up, thank you again for the contribution, Greg. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian Ferg? We're not a contender this year, but there isn't a team in this league that scares me. Tibbs has this team prepared to play anybody, and they believe. The league's in an interesting place right now. By the way, Grimes' usage rate this year is 12.9 to be exact. So actually, Greg Film Stuff, you know what? I probably owe you an apology. That is in the 16th percentile league-wide for wings. Now, wings are relied upon to generate a lot of offense in the NBA this year. Still, 12.9 rather. That's a low usage rate. Should get that up to 15 or 16. So agreed, they have to be better. Not gonna kill them over it though. Anyway, Haitian. Yeah, the league's in an interesting place right now. There are no super teams. I don't think we really have the threat of a super team before next year. That said, this is still a league where you got to deal with where you have teams that are got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Still have Kawhi and PG-13. You got the soon-to-be 3-time MVP with some nice talent around him. Memphis looms. We've been talking for years about they're maybe a trade away. And I haven't even mentioned the East, who the East speaks for itself. So there may not be the team that really scares you, but there's a lot of really good teams, really, really good teams. So it's a tough league right now. Let's see where they're at the rest of this year. And as you say, let's see what happens next year. Thanks, Asian. Appreciate you, man. Connor, what's going on, Connor? How do you feel about the Heat, Hawks, Raptors chances to catch the Knicks? The Hawks and Raptors seem iffy. Is Miami still a threat, or are the Knicks secure at 5? Man, there's 19 games to go, and the Knicks have not a big enough lead for me to say that they are secure. Even if we say that the Nets are not going to catch them, which I feel pretty comfortable saying the Knicks are going to be better than the Nets from here on in. I say lightly. The Heat are 2 back in the loss column. The Hawks are 3 back in the loss column. That you can make that up in 2 weeks. So the Knicks have to be careful. They have their work cut out for them. Can't take any game for granted. And again, I will say it, these next 2 games, and specifically Friday night, that is a big game. They won this game, so it's tough for me to say, I think that game is bigger than the game tonight. But, I think that Friday night game is very significant because I am not counting out the Heat or the Hawks for that matter. Ryan Huang, what's going on, Ryan? Remember 2 months ago debating if IQ was worth trading for a protected first? I don't know did I have that debate? Go find an old clip. God knows I say a lot of crap. I was never on board with that. I know there were people that were perhaps on board with that. I'd trade my left nut before seeing the Knicks trade him. That's great. Please don't do that. Let's go Knicks 5th for 5. 5th for #5. Everybody hang on to your nuts. Joshua Levine. Put Mitch on ice for 20 games. The last few weeks I've been saying RJ was our X factor the rest of the season, but it's likely going to be Mitch. Look, they showed they could win without Mitch. They're not going to they are my 2 cents, they're not a threat to win a playoff series without Mitch Robinson. So and playoff positioning is important. The notion that they could mothball anybody among their top 9, I'm not sure that's realistic. Yes, they're deep and they have a lot of guys who contribute and the whole thing. And yes, they do have Deuce sitting in reserve and Fournier sitting in reserve. And those guys could give you minutes. Fournier in particular, and I'm happy. Another thing about Benji that I thought he did a good job pointing out the fact that Evan Fournier is still a good basketball player, even though he's not playing basketball for this team right now. They have moves that they could go to. For them to play at this level, they need all of these guys. And I do believe they need to play at this level to secure the sort of playoff spot that they want to try to make, as Josh Hart, it's not me, it's Josh Hart, to make the type of run that they think that they could maybe make. So nobody gets to go mothballs. Thanks, Joshua. Jessica with another one. Josh Hart goes coast to coast so often, you could call him Art Bell. Let's go Knicks. Jessica, your references are absolutely the best. Second to none. Ryan and Wong with another one. Also, the Sixers lost again. I hope you're watching, Joel. I will say it again. I'm not saying the Sixers have the most pressure on them of any team in the league. I actually don't know who that team would be. Who has the most pressure on them going into the playoffs? It might be the Sixers. Like, if you talk about teams that if they lost a first-round playoff series, how disastrous would it be? Sixers might be number one. So from that perspective, man, Joel, you're getting up there in years, buddy. It's the elephant in the room. Everybody's watching. Kane Marco, take Mob General. Tell me we can't go 14-5 for the remainder. Say it and mean it. You can't. We're getting 50 wins, sir. This fourth seed is on the way. Boy. By the way, pour one out for LaMelo Ball, who apparently fractured his ankle tonight. Like, that sucks. That he's a fun player to watch, and he's a good player, and you never want to see that. And they had been playing pretty well. They'd won 4 in a row heading into tonight. Did they win tonight? Yes, they've won now 5 in a row. How about this? Talk about things that you probably did not anticipate. Here are the 3 longest winning streaks in the league right now. Milwaukee Bucks, winners of 14 in a row. The New York Knicks, winners of 6 in a row. And your third longest winning streak in basketball, the Charlotte Hornets, winners of 5 in a row. But yeah, they lose LaMelo to a fractured ankle. I thought of that because I'm thinking of the Knicks' rest of their schedule. Despite being winners of 5 in a row, I think Charlotte's going to be the one game in the immediate future you're going to look at and be like, okay, they could get a win there. I'll just run through the schedule real quick. Brooklyn, at Miami, at Boston, Charlotte. West Coast trip, at Sacramento, Clippers, Lakers, Portland. Hello, Damian Lillard. We see you. Back home, Denver, Minnesota. Then back on the road, at Miami, at Orlando, and here's where it starts to ease up. Houston, then another matchup with Miami. It's amazing. We play Miami freaking 4 times all in the last 30 games of the year. That is wild that the schedule makers did that. And then at Cleveland, Washington at home, at Indiana, at New Orleans. You want to talk about a reeling team. And then Indiana again. There's a chance to make up some serious ground if need be over that last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But like the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. It's no picnic, man. It's no picnic. You want to tell me they're going to go 7-4 in those next 11 games? I don't know about that. That's tough. That's really tough. And if they do it, I'll remember this comment. So, good job by you preemptively. Corey McConkey, the way this team turned late first capital and second rounders into impact players for this team is so key. I am thrilled. He's thrilled. Corey's thrilled with the front office and the staff. Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly, 25th picks in the draft. Mitchell Robinson, second-round pick. Deuce McBride, second-round pick, even though he's not playing for them right now. Who am I forgetting that is playing meaningful minutes for them? I said Quickly. I said Grimes. I said Mitch. I guess we could throw in Josh Hart, right? So you're talking about late first-round draft capital, right? So as of right now, the Knicks are slated to have like the 23rd or 22nd pick in the draft. I think swapping the 22nd or 23rd pick for the right to pay Josh Hart his next contract and get Josh Hart for the remainder of the season, I think that's pretty worth it, especially when you have another pick in your back pocket with the Mavs pick this year. I think that's worth it. That's a pretty good trade-off. Busy. Prediction for the rest of the year. 4th seed, 2nd round. Take it to the bank. Hashtag extend Tibbs. Hashtag Hall of Fame Tibbs. Hashtag Tibbs can take a shit on my lawn. That's a frightening visual, Busy, but thank you for it. I appreciate it. As far as, man, if Tibbs gets, going back to Robert Cross's comments, if Tibbs got this team to the Eastern Conference Finals, that would be a not insignificant, bolstering of his chances at the Hall of Fame. And if you think I'm nuts, go look at his wins, his winning percentage. Give him another couple of years to get accumulate some more wins. He doesn't have that one big. He doesn't have a championship. He doesn't have a finals appearance. He's probably going to need a finals appearance to make the Hall. Might need a championship to make the Hall. 2 Coach of the Year trophies, though. Don't count him out of the ballot for this year. We'll see. James Choi, what's going on, James? Victory poop for everybody. Victory poops. Hart allows everyone else to play their natural games, especially Emmanuel quickly. Not a great game from Jalen Brunson, and we win. Mitch is back. 4th seed, hashtag 53 wins. A lot of 4th seed energy, man. I don't see, for me, with how good this team's been on the road, like 4 or 5, like if they get into that 4 or 5, I'll be happy with that. I mean, again, I'm still someone who, like you told me today that they're going to finish in the 6th spot. I think long and hard about signing for that. But I agree sitting here right now at this point, I agree the expectation should be at least the 5 seed, which is not to say that we should be disappointed or like critical if they end up in the 6th seed. Because again, there's good teams out there. And some of those teams have not played good basketball this year. It doesn't mean they won't play better basketball down the stretch. So the Knicks need to keep doing what they're doing. Dom Cappuccini. What's going on, Dom? Thank you as always, my man. I yelled at my phone 2 Mondays ago, urging for you to go 4-0. You done messed up again, Macri. LMAO. Hashtag we back and better than ever. So for anybody who doesn't know, this week on predictions, Jeremy picked 3-1. Even though there were 2 games against Boston and a game in Miami and against the Nets. None of these, obviously, give me games. And could have taken 4-0 the week before. If I had taken it, I would have won the week. I didn't. I lost. This week, same thing. I could have taken 4-0. Didn't do it. I'm not. I kind of had a feeling they were going to win this game, so I'm not regretting it just yet. I'm worried about Friday. I am worried about going into Boston. And the Nets are, listen, man, the Nets game is going to be a tough game. So one step at a time. One step at a time. That's all. Sam Stavis, let's buckle up. It looks like this team has learned how to win together. We here again. Hashtag we here with heart. They're a good team. Every year there's like 8 or 9 or 10 good teams in the league who you look back and you're like, that was a good team. And that was a good team. And that was a good team. They're one of them. They're one of the good teams. The net rating says it. The record says it. The eye test says it. Everything checks out. They're a good team. Teams don't want to play them, I don't think. D-Zilla. Mitchell I'm going to do it. Motherfucking Robinson. Yeah. I love that Mitch is getting so much love tonight. And I'm so happy about it. And I really, I've spent a lot of time thinking about Mitch of late. Maybe it's because they just celebrated the 1973 team, but just thinking about how few players have really established a lasting footprint, have been here for a while since the 90s. You know, um, Charlie Ward, Allen Houston, Kurt Thomas. These were the last guys who were really here for a long time, right? And then since those, like 2004, 2005, around there, 2006, I forget when Kurt Thomas left before I know he came back one more time for the 2012-13 season. But like since that middle of the first decade, so we're talking about a span of almost 20 years, you got Melo, who was here for 7 years, and the last few of those were not a ton of fun. And then after that, it's like you do have a couple of guys who were here for like 5 and 6 seasons, but Mitch, this is his 5th season here. I don't think he's going anywhere this summer. I think he's gonna be back next year. I hope he's back next year because the only guy who I think is going to become available via trade who plays that position is not a guy I want here. So I hope Mitch is back next year. You want to talk about guys that have spent 6 seasons and been good for 6 seasons in a Knicks uniform? Again, over the last 20 plus years, I mean, really go back further. Go back to the championship years. It's not a long list. There's the guys that I just mentioned. There's Ewing. There's Oakley. There's Starks. I'll throw Gerald Wilkins in there. Trent Tucker. These guys were here for a while. But, like, it's not a huge list. So Mitchell Robinson is adding his name to that list of guys who have really been Knicks for a while and did good by us while they were here. David Moonshine, thank you for the very generous contribution, David. Appreciate it. Harry Donert, thank you for the very generous contribution, Harry. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. D-Zilla, no such thing as an overreaction tonight. It's all called for. # we back. Love the energy, man. The energy's so great tonight. Anthony Sixto with another one. The Knicks were identifying the doubles and slipping them early. The ball movement off the attack was beautiful. That type of anticipation counter wins us a series. I agree. My prediction is that teams that when they get, well, that's what makes Cleveland such a fascinating matchup, right? Is Evan Mobley's a really good defensive player. Already in his second year is a really good defensive player. I am excited, cautiously optimistic / excited, potentially, to see Julius Randle take on that challenge. But the real exciting thing, if they play Cleveland, is obviously Jalen Brunson. And for as much as that series will be about Donovan Mitchell, and my God, will it be about Donovan Mitchell in every way, shape, or form, really, from our perspective, that series will be about Jalen Brunson. Because we know what Jalen Brunson can do against Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs because he already did it. So does Donovan Mitchell man up in that series and go and do one-on-one? Or do they configure their whole defense around trying to give Donovan Mitchell, or Darius Garland for that matter, help in defending Jalen Brunson? And that's that's fascinating. I'm very curious to see how teams defend the Knicks in the playoffs, whether they play them straight up, whether they challenge their guys to beat them, or to defend them one-on-one. We'll see. We'll see. But again, I'll go back to it again. A bunch of people have said it tonight, said it over the past several weeks. RJ is going to be key. RJ is going to be key because Brunson and Randle, for as much as they are and can do, and as good as they are, they're going to need RJ. They're going to need him. Joe Dugan. What's going on, Joe? I have $1,000 on the Knicks to win the East at plus 8,000. How you doing, Joe Dugan? My goodness. Good luck. Red Sarachek. RJ, if you're reading this, imagine he is. I don't get the sense that RJ's like very unsocial, but like I do think he hears everything. Keep your head up. That's a good message to RJ. Is SSP Quentin Grimes' floor Bruce Bowen? Sweet Prince. Is Sweet Prince Quentin Grimes' floor Bruce Bowen? 7th Avenue shutdown isn't out of the question. Bruce Bowen was an all league caliber defender. I don't think Grimes is there just yet. I mean, Grimes could do more with the ball than Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen, you could run him off the line and couldn't do much if you ran him off the line. He was a deadly 3-point shooter. I mean, I don't like we could look up the percentages for Bruce Bowen, but like Bruce Bowen was so good of shooting the three. I wouldn't be surprised if he led the league at least 1 year. I kind of want to look that up. But like different sort of player. I think they're different. But in terms of like impact, yeah, I think you could have a Bruce Bowen level of impact. Sure. Absolutely. Now you got me want to go down this rabbit hole. Black Ice, Knicks culture caused Jason Tatum to quit tonight. Watch out. Yeah, Jason Tatum didn't want any part of this game anymore. He was done. I hope he's out having a good night in Manhattan. Nah, Jason Tatum's very good. He's going to appear on a lot of MVP ballots, and he should. He would not be on my top 2. Keith. Man, Keith, really, it's too kind, man. Seriously, too kind of you. One more because the vibes are immaculate. Emmanuel Quickley is built for the New York City stage. I want lifetime contracts for both him and Josh Hart. I will go to war with those two any day. Quintessential Knicks. They're quintessential Knicks. Jalen Brunson's a quintessential Knick. Quintessential New Yorker. I know he's not from New York, but like, and honestly, I gotta say this. Reading and this is coming from someone who has called out Julius Randle for not maybe him, but like called out some of the narrative building that has taken place around him. That I thought was maybe a little bit too manicured. When Randall, when he talked about getting his mental right, after the Washington game, and then the Jake Fisher interview of Julius Randle from All-Star Weekend, and him talking about, like Kendra looked at me and I was miserable and it's like, we got to get away. They went to Italy and kind of got his mind right. Like, I feel this is a guy that I was ready to ship out of town. I feel Julius Randle. And maybe this is just me, like the days are starting to count down until I turn 40 and I'm reflecting on like, what is life and like, how do you live your best life? And like, sometimes taking a step back is the right thing. And sometimes kind of taking a step away is the right thing. And you value the things you value and like balance in life and all this different stuff that nobody wants to hear about. But like hearing Julius talk about that kind of stuff and engage, how much he engaged with that in order to become better this year. That's a level of toughness that, again, I'm gonna say it. I think he's built for New York City too, for as much as we thought he wasn't last year. So this team, Has a lot of guys that are built for New York City. And they're making New York City proud right now. And they're making every Knicks fan proud, which is all you could ask for. You know, championship would be nice before I die, but just give me a team to be proud of. And I'm proud of this team. It's so easy to be proud of this team. Thanks again, Keith. Alex with another one. I'm so glad we didn't trade Obi at the deadline. Me too. This team wouldn't be as good if they traded Obi at the deadline for some protected first-round pick or some salary flotsam. That said, I did have a thought today as I was, again, reflecting on the Lakers-Mavs game last night where I think Jared Vanderbilt had something like 19 rebounds, playing a big, important part for the Lakers right now. I did the thought experiment in my own head. I'm like, would this team be better with Jared Vanderbilt in Obi Toppin's place? Here's the thing, though, and it's crazy because we joke about how the Knicks have taken this incredible weapon and turned him into a floor spacer. His floor spacing is vital. They need his floor spacing, and his three tonight was big, and his energy tonight was big, and his baskets were all big tonight, and I still have hope that they could, even though Randall's here and even though Obi's not going to get a ton of minutes, that Obi could get back to the player. Even more of the player, more than we saw tonight, of the player that he's been at times over the last 2 years. Because I think that guy helps them as much as, if not more than, Vanderbilt would have helped them. So, yeah. Thanks, Alex. Red Sarachek with another one. Made up a stat of the night, sponsored by Weiss and Rosenblum. The Knicks are 1-0 since 1954 when they lose a review longer than 7 minutes, resulting in a leg technical foul. It's fantastic. That is fantastic. That was a weird review. That was very, very strange. I don't know what the hell they were doing with that. But, yeah. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you, as always.
Did you read it?
Oh,
yeah, that was Red Sarachek did the technical, the free throw one, the review one,
the 2 hour mark. My eyes glaze over.
Yeah, you're good.
Andrew Glaudio is the goddamn man. GMAC MVP.
GMAC. Well, I guess technically GMAC and GMAC are the same thing, but yes.
They are the same thing.
You're welcome, Alex. This is in reference to about 2 hours ago when I went and found his super chat. Yes.
Well done. You might as well stay on till the end, right?
Might as well. We got about 20 left. I will give a quick programming note and a bit of an announcement or an update, whatever you want to call it. The Knicks Film School Podcast and the New York Knicks are apparently both trending in the right direction. We are back in the top 20 in America for basketball podcasts. So thank you, everybody, for all your support. I think the best way, if you want to help this number stay where it is leave a 5-star rating and a review on iTunes. I've put the link in the live chat as we speak. If you're listening to this later, well, you're on a podcast. So if you're listening on iTunes, just review the show there. So, yes. Thank you.
What do they call it? A call to action?
Yes. The CTA. Look at you. I'm proud of you.
I paid attention to podcasting school.
Look
Here, call to action. If you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this right now, do us a solid, man. Man, woman, child, anyone out there?
Yeah.
Person. Take 2 minutes because those. I think those the 5-star things. That's what keeps you up in the ratings or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. It probably doesn't take long to put the 5 stars.
A second. There's actually one that just says "You're welcome, GMAC."
What do you mean?
There's a 5-star rating that's just "You're welcome, GMAC" because I keep.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
5-star rating.
I got
There's
you.
one that I pointed out that one just said John is in all caps stubborn, and then went on to say nice things about the rest of us and the things.
Not
but
lying.
5 stars, so I say what you want. We have a little thing going on right now where the pregame show, part of the process is whoever comes, go give them a 5-star rating, and it's the KFS bump that gets to exist. So I want you to go over to the How About Them Celtics podcast. Tell them how much you hate the Celtics, but thank you for going to the Knicks Film School podcast.
Yes. Please do all those things. Thank you, everybody. Preemptively, thank you for helping us out with that stuff. That means a lot. Okay, let's bang them out. We'll get out of here
Quickly as possible. Yes.
Before 1 o'clock.
It also jumped on me, so I'm scrolling all the way back up. So give me a second.
It happens to the best of us. Andrew.
It does. It does. Sometimes, especially when you get older, right? I laid off this is KFS After Dark. I laid off a joke that I was tempted to make at your expense on the pod yesterday.
Give it. What would it be?
Well, first of all, I haven't done this on a pod yet. Happy birthday, Dolores.
My lovely wife,
Mrs. Macri. Her birthday was on Friday, and I hope John was able to give you as many meaningful minutes as he could on Friday.
I didn't drop 71. I know that.
No.
Oh God.
Yes.
Life with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat inhibiting. What was the? Jesus Christ.
We're here.
Going a lot of directions here. I'm not going to go in any of them. Anyway, okay, let's keep it going. Tom Cappuccini, can we as a whole start to appreciate what Tibbs has done? Rough year. See, this is the tweet or the super chat that gets me to go past 1 o'clock. Rough year last season. He deserves a lot of flowers for 2023. I would just ask that, everybody, continue to recognize being an NBA head coach is a really hard job. And there's a lot of things that go on that we don't know about behind the scenes. And it's never as easy as it seems. So it is always easy to critique from afar. And, as long as your critiques are respectful, that's I'm never going to complain. And yeah, sure. A little praise never hurt anybody.
That goes across the board.
Yes, it does. Because being an NBA player is hard. Being a front office executive is hard. And all of the things. Well said. Parrish Duggar, silly to measure Grimes by his numbers. His defense is great. I don't disagree. I cited his usage before to just drive home the point that he really does not get a lot of shots on this team. And it is, I think, hard at times to be a very productive player offensively when you don't see the ball a lot. So even more credit to him for what he does. Yeah. Thanks, Parrish. Mark Sable, what's going on, Mark? Good to hear from you, man. Welcome back, John, and welcome back, hard-nosed basketball to New York. Very hard-nosed. These guys, you feel them. You feel them. As I wrote in today's newsletter, you don't play the Knicks, you persevere them.
That's a good line.
Why, thank you, sir.
Yes.
I occasionally find a nut.
Every now and again, the broken clock is right. Twice a day, at least,
Twice a day.
Yeah.
Darth Dream. I think this is the first $18 super chat I've ever seen. Thank you, Darth Dream. Remember when COVID happened and we were going out of our minds, and then the Knicks came back to us.
Can't forget it.
Yeah. Playing the Cavs, and we got our first glimpse at the God IQ. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Darth Dream, I will not wax poetic about this for too long. But speaking of the newsletter, so I wonder if it still works this way. It used to be that you went to some page on Substack, maybe the archive for my newsletter or something, and it would show the most read newsletters in the history of the thing, which JB actually started the newsletter back in, my goodness, like March of 2019 or something.
Mm-hmm.
For a good while, the newsletter I wrote after that Cavs preseason game was the most read newsletter that I ever had, because I remember the title like something like the Knicks have found their point guard, or like our point guard is here, or like something like that. And it was like the first 4 minutes of the game. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like all quickly. It was like boom, 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 3, dish, 3, floater. Like, oh my God, what is this? What is this thing that we have?
I can go a step further with that. For the first year and a half of the YouTube channel, the most viewed video, live stream, as well as just regular podcast upload or regular YouTube upload, the most viewed thing we had was a 10-minute clip that was just you giving a monologue at the beginning of a podcast. That the title was "Is Manuel Quickly the Point Guard of the Future?"
Mm-hmm.
It had 10,000 views, and that was the most viewed thing that people watched, and honestly, people listened to, because it was just a picture of Emmanuel Quickly and a waveform of you talking.
His career. We're talking about a third-year player. What is he? 23?
Something like
23?
that. I'll look it
I
up.
think he's 23. His career trajectory at this point has to be. I'm gonna do it. I'll go ahead and I'll nudge him above RJ for most fascinating career trajectory in terms of what I am personally most curious about where this goes. Because like I think the Jason Terry comps have been used in the past, right? And Jason Terry scored, my God, Jason Terry scored didn't he score 18,000 points or some insane number of points in the league? Like, I don't think Quickly's ever going to get, because Terry came into the league, just on teams that were bad teams and just put up a ton of shots. I don't think Quickly's ever going to maybe score to that level. Maybe he will. I don't know. But does he go that route and he goes down as maybe one of the best six men of his generation, or are we still sleeping on Emmanuel Quickly? Shout out to Yash. And is there another level that he could reach at some point? I talk about a guy I'm done putting ceilings on. Again, he's the third best player on a team that, by all indications, is one of the 7 or 8 best teams in the league. So, Guy Huber, then. Thank you, Guy Huber. I said this to Benji, but I'd like your thoughts. Yes, when Benji was like, "Oh, that's how his name is spelled." The We Hear team with smoke and mirrors good. This one is actually good. I'm always fair. Tibbs was being goofy last year, but he's been masterful this year. Big props. Masterful might be a little strong, if only because it took him a little while to figure out. There was some really down periods. There was a stretch where this team really was not in a great place. And as a head coach, you got to own the whole, right? You can't just own the parts that are good. You have to own the whole, and he has to own that too. The fact that he's come out of it and has them playing as they are right now, and has them coming out with the effort and the ability to execute at this level is top notch. As far as the We Hear team being smoke and mirrors, I think they had a formula that worked really well in a really weird year. And I hate saying the smoke and mirrors, because to be the 4th ranked defense in a 30-team league, you can't do that with smoke and mirrors. But I do think the nature of the way the league was that year, where it was just so out of sorts, aided their ability to be the 4th ranked defense to a certain extent. And their formula on offense, which was to just score enough. And then Julius Randle obviously doing what Julius Randle did. That obviously went up in smoke in the playoffs, but that was a real thing. It worked. And here's the other thing about we talk about how deep this team is and how good this team is this year, right? And how deep they go in quality play. How many conversations do we have that year, or at least I felt like I had that year, with who's the second best player on the Knicks? Is it Reggie Bullock? Is it Alec Burks? Is it RJ Barrett? Is it Mitchell Robinson? Is it all these different guys? Probably forgetting someone, but
Derrick Rose.
I actually no. I didn't say who was the best player on the Knicks.
There you go. Touché.
He was that good.
Yeah, he was that good.
He was that good. Anyway, so not completely smoke and mirrors, but yeah. Okay. Andrew Palladino, what's going on, Andrew? Is quickly becoming one of my favorite Knicks of all time. I'm a UK basketball fan, so seeing him thrive as a Knick is special. There is a stat I want to check. I'm not going to tell you what it is, Andrew. But I may need you to filibuster for a moment.
Okay.
Emmanuel, it's gone back and forth this year between Jalen Brunson and Emmanuel Quickly for my favorite Knick on this team. I think it's Brunson for me, still a little bit over Quickly, but it's close.
I'm back on the Randall bandwagon. So,
as your favorite player on the team,
I was there 2 years ago, and then last year I struggled because of how the rhetoric around him got, and then also how like his play kind of dictated that as well. Like it was impossible to find something good about how he played last year. And then, I went into this year with an open mind that he could play good enough to get traded. And then when I saw his play impact winning, it was like, oh, well then maybe this was something that was just needed to be fixed. And introducing Jalen Brunson to turn you back into an all-star was what mattered. And I read the Fisher article too. And, the more and more you wonder what was going on with him last year. I imagine there's more stuff going on and he's letting us in a little bit, but I'm glad the vibes are good. I'm also, you don't have Instagram. I'm a sucker for like a cool dad doing cool dad things. And him and Kaiden are like the coolest father-son duo,
I don't know if it would hit me because I'm obviously a girl dad, but yeah, it's still cool. So,
but like that's like I'm a sucker for that too. When you post like stuff like that,
I don't post a lot of stuff.
Okay, post is a different story. When you send, it's twofold. So when you put stuff in the group chat of like, oh look, my kids are jumping on the couch, and I was like, oh, that's cute. Then I see like, oh, the kids are jumping on the couch. It's like, oh, I don't have kids. There we go. So it's twofold. Like it works both ways. I get my kid fix, and then I get to go, do whatever I want.
Good for you. I don't. The stat that I was checking, Emmanuel Quickly has moved into the top 20 in the NBA in total plus minus. He is now 4 points ahead of James Harden, who is plus 230 on the year. Emmanuel Quickly is plus 234 in 19th place, 2 points behind Tobias Harris. And there's a group of guys that are between plus 246 and plus 243. Two of which are Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant. Hello. He could get ahead of them if the Knicks keep playing well and he continues to perform well in his minutes, which he always does. There is a not crazy shot that Emmanuel Quickly could finish the year top 15 in the league in total plus minus.
Jeez.
Which is freaking insane.
Most of those minutes off the bench, too. I'm praying that factors into the sixth man of the year voting.
I mean, I'll look up what Brogdon is, but I don't because I'm sure Brogdon is pretty high as well. But like, yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I'll read the next one. Frank Sound IQ best value contract in the NBA right now before the extension. Probably
it's a rookie contract,
but that's why it's a rookie contract. So is he the best rookie contract in the NBA? Tyrese Halliburton's still on a rookie contract.
Yeah, that's a weird discussion because, like, I'm trying to think of like who's
I'm going through the list now.
Like guys that are contributing. What?
Well, Halliburton. I guess if you want to project like Paolo and like LaMelo and Cade. Guys like that, sure.
Yeah, but they're not helping teams win right now.
Right. So as far as contributing to winning, I actually wonder if this is a good question. I mean, Jalen Brunson's a pretty good value contract.
By the way, Malcolm Brogdon is 9th on the Celtics in plus total plus minus plus 101. So not anywhere near Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, as far as value contracts, like guys on really cheap deals helping teams win. I mean, Maxey deserves a nod.
Yeah, good point.
Guy who that's a guy who could finish ahead of Quickly in the 6th minute of the year, running. Other than that, Des Bane is still on his rookie contract.
There you go.
That's probably he probably wins.
Keegan Murray.
Des Bane.
Oh, I'm just going down the
Yeah.
list. I'm not comparing. I'm looking at Quickly's up there. Like I approach this with it's rookie contract, Frank. So a lot of these are going to be valuable. What?
Anthony Edwards is still on his rookie contract.
That's the one. That's the one. Next question. Thank you.
Make an All-NBA team this year.
Yes.
El Coriano, 11.
Good enough.
Even though you don't want to talk about trade value, is Randall worth at least 2 unprotected picks? Prior to the season, people wanted Hayward or a second-round pick. Yeah, I was one of those people. And I was an idiot. And I was wrong. And I'm happy to admit that right now. Like, it's weird because the Knicks are not going to trade him for a pick package. If the Knicks ever traded Julius Randle, it would be to get a star back. So, like, to talk about him in that sort of a vacuum is, but like, is he worth 2 unprotected first round picks? Like, yeah, he's worth it. I think he's shown himself to be translatable enough this year where another team could reasonably look at him and be like, yeah, we could plop him into our ecosystem. And it might be a little dicey for a while, but we could figure out a way to make that work for sure. Danny Gardner, the over-analysis of RJ every game is exhausting. We know what he is and what he could be. He's the youngest player on the team, and he has to adjust a ton from what we thought he was going to be in the NBA. I think Danny has another one because it says 1 out of 2. Yes.
Oh, yeah, this is the second one. Yeah, there's 3 actually, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. He played good tonight. He'll get better. Or play good defense tonight. He'll get better. Whether that's here or somewhere else, I don't know. But let's stop freaking out every time he has a bad half or a bad game. He's nothing if not resilient. And there's one more from Danny.
Well, he put up 3, but other people put in super chat. So I'll scroll down and find and the third one. Here's
Danny,
the third
I think this is all well said. Oh, here's the other one. Last one. The most important step for RJ is his ball handling. He picks up the ball way too early on his drives and puts himself in bad spots. Danny, I don't disagree with a word of what you said. But sports and sports and the nature of talking about sports in 2023. That's my answer to your first 2 super chats, or your first one at least. Like, look, we're going to talk about it. We're going to analyze it. We're going to, and you're going to, you can only talk about the good so much. If there's a bad to talk about, people are going to talk about the bad, and they're probably going to over talk about the bad, especially if it's the only thing that appears to be bad. I agree with you. The over-analysis is exhausting. I'm sure RJ's exhausted by it. I'm sure the Knicks are exhausted by it. I agree. It's just like he's a player that's figuring it out. He's continuing to figure it out. He's continuing to grow. Growth is not linear. We know that. There are many examples of that. And I think the best point you made is that he picks up the ball too early on his drives. Watching Brunson handle the ball this year, I'm not trying to say that RJ needs to get to that level, but recognizing how big a role ball handling plays in a guy like Brunson's ability to get any shot he wants at any time and make a whole lot of them, you recognize that. And RJ has some moves. He has some things he could do, but he needs to keep the dribble alive to be able to do those things. And that's where a lot of the bad shots come from, and that's where a lot of the turnovers come from. So, completely agree. Maybe they could work on that this offseason. Him and
Drew Hanlon.
There you go. Exhibition continues. The Knicks front office should get credit for the best free agent signing of the offseason and the best trade deadline deal, as we #Buck Foston. Best trade deadline deal. Are we counting Kevin Durant? If not,
to say, and there's one more out there. And look, I have my questions, but Kyrie Irving's been individually pretty good in Dallas. I did the same face when I said it.
I'm going to give you the same energy that you were giving me at the top of the show.
Very true. Very true. The Knicks haven't lost, and the Mavs have multiple times. So,
And
yeah,
and again, the best free agent signing of the offseason, and it's the best free agent signing the NBA has seen when in terms of a team signing away another player from another team, arguably in years. Crazy.
Since KD and Kyrie, or
I
would
think
you
it's
go
since
since
or
Kawhi? Kawhi. Okay.
All three. It's all the same summer.
Yeah.
2018. The best free agent signing last summer, or the summer of 2021 was DeMar DeRozan. Made All-NBA team after they signed him in Chicago. And the summer before that, there really was no high-level free agent signing in 2020 in terms of a guy switching teams. And then you have to go back to 2019. So, yeah, I think Jalen Brunson's the best free agent signing since the summer of 2018.
It's true. The pandemic shortened off season. The big acquisition was a trade with the Chris Paul trade to Phoenix. So,
and the biggest signing, I believe, was Gordon Hayward in terms of guys switching teams, which
okay. Fair.
Didn't work out so well. Sam Garcia's dad. What's going on, Sam Garcia's dad? In one season, this front office has gone from inept to genius. I much prefer this version. Hashtag Frig Boston.
Yes.
Thank you for your conscientiousness there. Jesse M. I wonder what Gunna thinks of these Knicks.
So, chat,
At Chris,
whoever's watching live, please help me out because I may have read a headline or overheard a thing. I never heard or read a thing that Chris was saying in the chat. Is Gunna in jail or in some legal trouble at the moment? Like whoever knows, please correct me. I'll pay attention as we move on. But if I remember right, something happened and Gunna is not gonna be seeing daylight for a little bit. You know,
I hope he's gonna call our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum.
Can't believe he did that. KFS after dark. Oh, he's free now. Okay, good.
Oh, great.
Got ratted on by music label mates. So it was over music?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, he snitched. Oh, listen. He's trying to go home. That's okay.
A student asked me today if I knew who Ice Spice was.
Do I know who Ice Spice is?
I saw her. She was in the front row of a Knicks game
that's
a month or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a young lady, a rather voluptuous young lady, if I do say so myself, who apparently makes music.
Well, good for them. Oh, oh yeah, I know who Ice Spice is.
She's not a Spice Girl.
No. Has like really curly hair and.
Do believe she has curly hair.
I don't want to guess race, but I also I'm not eager to say what she is, but it looked white.
I don't know.
I listen. I'm so
I would not
out,
be
I'm
so
so
bold
out right now. KFS at 12:30 a.m. Let's just go on to the next one.
Jesse.
Oh gosh,
stuff. It's great content here. Jesse M. The New York Mets slander will hit differently come October with a $500 million payroll.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it? Had the highest payroll in baseball last year, and I felt every bit of the slander last year. To the point where I didn't acknowledge that I'd watched baseball in years. Now, when they're at $500 million and Carlos Correa's broken leg is leading the Twins to the playoffs, and Jacob DeGrom, that's what's gonna hurt me is if the Rangers are good. If the Rangers are bad and DeGrom plays 12 games, I'll be able to be like, all right, we moved on. We're good. If he's not, if he's like fine and wins the Cy Young, I might need some Mets therapy, John.
We're good in the East.
Yeah, we're good. Thank God for the Knicks. There you go.
Mark Sable, how about the trade for Camby as a Hart comparison? So the Camby trade was that not a preseason trade?
It was Oakley. Trade.
It was Oakley for Camby.
Mm-hmm. That was also the strike shortened season. So
before the 99 season.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hope I got that right. It wasn't before 97, 98, right?
No, it's 99.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 99 season.
Yeah, that was so weird because the as I mentioned on the mailbag episode, solo mailbag episode I did before the break, the 99 team was a disaster until the playoffs. They were not good and not fun to watch at all. And Camby was like marginalized and like it was like just a weird situation. So, but in terms of like eventual impact, like yeah, sure. That's Jesus, Marcus Camby was the best player in the Eastern Conference Finals when they went to the NBA Finals. So said Larry Bird. Ben, Kim Gervey, what's going on, Ben? Good to be a team you might beat but won't lose. Been a long time coming. Finally, the light at the end of the tunnel isn't a train. Hashtag Knicks culture. It does feel like we've arrived at some sort of place. It does feel like there is some modicum of stability here. And maybe that's what we should just be like reveling in and not worrying as much about whether we could win a playoff series or what seed we are or like when we're going to get to contender status, just to be a good team and know that as long as we keep this group together and they stay relatively healthy, they're going to continue to be a good team. That is cool.
So what John's really trying to say is not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. No, it's actually only 2, LeBron. That's actually what will end up happening. And then you'll go back to live in Ohio.
I need to at some point, maybe probably when they're all retired and probably sadly when Pat Riley's gone, I need to read an oral history of that.
Of that
event.
Oh. Okay.
Like who thought that would be a good idea?
I mean, in all fairness, I didn't think it was like a joke. I thought it was like Dan Le Batard said it. It was a threat. You know, it came
yes,
off.
I understand that. I get it, but like,
I thought the league was kind of over for like, and plus this is before like when he left to go. I thought, okay, for the next decade, the Miami Heat are going to be in our lives.
I know we all thought that.
Which is why that all happened. I just,
we thought basketball was over,
right? Which is why, thank God, I guess we all made his life hell, so he'd go back to Cleveland and made it fair. I guess we also did the same thing for Durant, which is why he left Golden State.
I don't think we had anything to do with LeBron leaving Miami.
I think we absolutely did.
I don't think so. I think he had regained hero status by the time he left. That team.
It was always you have unfinished business in Cleveland, and if that narrative didn't exist, he wouldn't have left.
Sure. Actually, maybe I should push back on myself saying that he regained hero status because we were all rooting for the Spurs in 2014.
Yeah, they were the villain for 4 years. Now I had grown to appreciate what the thing LeBron James does. Like it was like, oh, this is greatness, and appreciate it while you're watching it.
See, neither here nor there. The audacity of holding a whatever the oral history.
25 years old. Like that's you got to remember. 25, just teamed up with his buddies to go live in South Beach with over $100 million. Like I probably would have been. John, look at every single time the Knicks beat a rival. How ridiculous I am.
I know. Andrew, Nets blew up the chemistry for the big three. We won't need to. I agree with you because they have 2 stars right here.
Did you see how? AJ has another one. Did you see how depressed Mikal Bridges looks, by the way?
No. Hold on. Let me read this. Has anyone ever become a fan favorite so quickly? Oh, as Hart. No. That's an easy answer. No. Why was I haven't seen this or
they stink. That's why he's miserable. Like I mean, it was a screenshot and probably a poorly timed one, but the caption was like they took the joy out of this man's face, and it was like, yeah.
I would still. I can't believe I'm about to say this. If I was one of the 87 Net fans, I would still feel pretty good about where I'm at.
Not this year, but going forward.
Yes.
Okay.
They got some good talent there. They got some picks now. They got a competent front office, good front office. I think Sean Marks still is good. So, yeah. Charm City Knicks fan, real contenders close. And we're finally closing. Give me that 4 seed. Yeah, I don't know if tonight's your best example of how the Knicks are closers now. Always be closing. Always be cobbling. Sam L. Remember Zebo in Memphis? The clock is ticking every day. It's possible Brunson, Randall, and Barrett age into being championship pieces in Gotham. Man, that Memphis team, I mean, they did make it to one Western Conference Finals where I believe they got swept by the Spurs.
Yes, and it took a Russell Westbrook injury in the first round of that playoffs. Then they played a Kevin Durant Thunder team and beat him in 5.
Yeah, that team had an identity and they were really good. And Marc Gasol was an MVP candidate at his peak. Mike Conley was very, very good. Zebo was very, very good. Who'd they have? Tony Allen, right? Probably forgetting one or two guys who were key members of that team, but like different league, very different league. I'm here for a conversation about the Knicks trying to do it differently at this point, just because I think it would be fun to see them try. Be like, hey, screw your superstar. We're but like I still don't think they're quite there yet. I think they still need another. I mean, let's just say it. They need RJ Barrett to turn into the guy that many have wanted RJ Barrett to be for a long time.
I'm gonna push back. Can we just see what the ceiling is and just play it out to see what this team needs?
Sure, but
listen, I'm someone that Kevin's got a comment later that I'm gonna push back on, but I also just like, can we see what happens? And
I'm excited to see this team this year. And by the way, if they go out and they do nothing this summer, as opposed to making a bad move, I'll be throwing the parade to see this exact team come back next year in its current form to see what they could do again with maybe some internal improvement. Again, as opposed to making a bad move.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll see. Benji Kleiner.
Hey.
What's going on, Benji? You could say that Hart is a better player than RJ and a much better fit for this team. He does everything well. I told you the karma is super strong. Thank you, Benji. Hold on, is this?
Yes, this is that Benji.
This is that Benji. I did catch his last name.
West Palm,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was great catching you in sunny Florida, Benji. Yeah, Benji Kleiner. There we go. You and your wife. It was great meeting her as well. You can say that Hart is a better player than RJ. I mean, right now he is. Very different players. For what this team needs, yeah, I'd probably say Hart's more important, but I will say, and this kind of piggybacks on what I said a minute ago to Andrew, I still believe there's a ceiling there for RJ. I still believe he has a potential to reach it. And I still believe that ceiling for that dude, if he really figured it out, even if it's a 5 or 10 or 50% chance that he does, then we're talking about a team. That's a team I really want to see how they do. So, yeah. Robert Cross with another one. First time, long time, John. Newsflash, I am tired about hearing of all the good teams in the Eastern Conference. I know you are, Robert, because I talked to you offline. We are one of them. Hashtag 53 wins. Hashtag we now. That's a pretty good one. Dan Gottlieb, I love these guys. Emmanuel Quickly is Crawford with Michael's secret stuff on defense. RJ making my ulcers flare. Give me OG for him and picks. Otherwise, feeling good. Hashtag 48 wins. Trying to get a new thing trending here. Yeah, Crawford is, I mean, IQ is such a different. That's the thing, right? Is like people who don't watch the Knicks day in and day out want to pigeonhole. Like, oh, yeah, Emmanuel Quickly, scorer off the bench. Like, yes, he is that. He's so much more than that. And like, he's not a scorer off the bench in the way that Jamal Crawford and Lou Williams and some of those other like microwave guys were over the years. He scores, but he doesn't come up Jordan Crawford now. Jordan Clarkson. He doesn't just come in and it's like the IQ show for 8 minutes per half. It's like the offense, the team doesn't skip a beat. Yeah.
5 more, by the way.
Suhu San, your opinion on the Celtics two-time teaming RJ Barrett Brunson. Your opinion on Celtic two-time teaming, double teaming RJ Barrett and Brunson. Yeah, I mean, again, I think they were kind of grasping at straws because things weren't working that they were trying, and the Knicks were having a lot of success. And in fairness, teams have succeeded doubling Randall and RJ and even Brunson at times in the past. So, like, give it a shot. You're a great defensive team. It didn't work, but I don't mind that they gave it. If I was a Boston fan, I wouldn't mind they gave it a shot. El Coriano 11 again. Is Tyson Chandler peak Mitch? Similar games. Whew. Tyson Chandler, I remember him as an elite lob threat. I don't know if anybody could jump as high as Mitchell Robinson, but so lob threat, yep. Rim protector, general, Tyson Chandler won Defensive Player of the Year award with us. So clearly great defensively in that way. So similarities there. Was Tyson Chandler, what was his, and I think he was probably a better overall defender than Mitch, because by the time we got him, he was further along in his career and he was just a more mature defensive player than Mitch is right now. But I'm just thinking about, Tyson as an offensive rebounder. Hang on here.
I have his stats pulled up.
Okay.
3.4, 4.1, and 2.9 in his 3 years in New York on offensive rebounding.
Yeah, I'm just looking. His best year, 2012-13, 4.1 offensive rebounds in 33 minutes a night. That's right around where Mitch is at. That's really good. That's a good comp. It's a good comp. Different person, very different personalities. Very different personalities.
I'm at 2 different points in their careers, too, you know?
Listen, Mitch could be 80 years old and he's going to have a very different personality.
Yes, but he's still like borderline a kid, you know? We got Tyson Chandler after he won a title in his mid-30s.
And Mitch is going to come off that way until he's...
I would like to think people are different at 24 than they are at 34, but I'm not the same person I was as a 34-year-old.
I know, neither am I, but Mitchell Robinson is a special character in all of the best ways. I want to be very clear about that.
Fair.
He is a joy and a flair for life and a
okay.
A
Tyson
way
hates fun. Gotcha.
No, I mean Tyson Chandler was just like a normal pro in terms of like how he gave an interview and how he like conducted himself. Like Mitch, like
Mitch has fun.
Yeah, and he loves having fun, and he's in on the bit, which what makes it great.
Mm-hmm. So John hates Tyson Chandler and kind of hates Mitchell Robinson. That's what I got out of that. Yeah, glad we settled that.
Kevin Danishevsky, sorry I'm more stoked about the youngest rotation in the league versus the oldest team in the league with the Heatles AC. Clearly a higher ceiling here.
Can they win something first, Kevin? I love what we're watching right now. I do. Do you have to continue to take shots at the 2013 team? Like, this team loses in the first round. They're not as good as the 2013 team. They're just not. I would enjoy watching to see what 2024 and 25 and 20, like, to that point, I understand the feeling might be different, but like that 14-game winning streak is one of the more fun experiences I've ever had watching the Knicks. So I understand this
win streak
14
towards the end of the year.
Yes, they signed Kenyon Martin. He pushed a couple of guys down, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, could the Knicks actually do this? They went 5-2 against the two teams that made 5-1 against the two teams that made the finals that year with the win in OKC.
That was the weird thing about that team because they finished, as you said, 54 and
28. They were a 2 seed.
Yeah, 54 and 28. So they were 26 games above 500, right?
Yes.
like 85% of those 26 games came in the first 6 games of the year, and then in that 14-game winning streak.
Well, they started what 18. You can even go further than that at those 6 games. Like I understand you're doing the 20 in a row there, but
Well, they started 6-0 or 8-0. I think it was 6-0.
they were.
I know they're the
18 and
last
5.
undefeated team.
They
What?
were 6-0. You're right. They were 18-5 at one point.
Okay, so you
Then
want to
they played like
extrapolate it out.
500 ball for a little bit. Then they won 14 in a row, and then it was like, oh,
Well,
here
they
come the
played-
Knicks.
They played 500 ball for like 30 or so.
Right, I'm saying for the middle of the season, and then they won 14 in a row,
which is fine, by the way. They had already gotten out a nice lead.
Yeah, they hit a stretch at the end of the year where not even they lost to that overtime game to Chicago where Nate Robinson went off. Then they won their next 2, so it was 16-1 to clinch the division. Then here's a fun story, and Benji will appreciate this. They decided to rest all of their players for a game in Charlotte, which like meaningless game against the Bobcats, right? Little young Andrew Claudio was a college student at the time and could only go to games in Charlotte, and that was the only game of that season I went to. And I was like, please don't clinch, please don't clinch. And I got to watch. Let me just pull up the box score real quick. We have 3 left, so let me just do this quickly.
Sure.
Let's see. What I got to watch was 41 minutes of Steve Novak, 47 minutes of Chris Copeland,
I was about to say
42 minutes of Pablo Prigioni, 42 minutes of Iman Shumpert.
This all sounds delightful.
43 minutes of James White, 4 minutes of Rasheed Wallace, and 21 minutes of Jason Kidd. Melo and Amari didn't even make the trip.
The James White.
Yeah. Now, Grant, I got there in like the middle of the first quarter when I realized, like, we went out to dinner ahead of time because it was like I was with my girl at the time. It was like, I don't care about this game anymore. We're in Charlotte. Let's go enjoy Charlotte, and decent seats. Got to go down to the court afterwards because it's Charlotte and who cares, you know?
Cool.
But yeah, that's what I remember most about my in-person experience of the 2013 team, which, look, I hold them in much higher regard than others, and I'm glad that this team that is more aesthetically and analytically pleasing to some is scratching that itches. You can enjoy both like I am. How's that?
They have to do something in the playoffs, right?
Yes, like around. How's that? Around.
Jay,
speaking of,
if the Knicks win a round, go all in the summer, it depends on what opportunities are going to become available. The Knicks are, I believe, very much in a position where they are going to continue to react to what the marketplace gives them. So we'll see. Lee Horowitz. Love these Knicks. Thank you for the generous contribution, Lee. Love these Knicks coming together. Thank you, KFS team. Thank you. Everybody still watching. We're 2 hours and 43 minutes into this bad boy. It's lonely being a Knicks fan in the San Francisco Bay Area. So excited to see where they go this season. Well, we're happy to have you aboard. We appreciate your support. And yeah, screw the Warriors. James Stanzoni. John, I love you. Let's go, Knicks. I'm buying you and your family 4 tickets to the Eastern Conference Finals. Thank you, James. Very much appreciated. This team truly, I'm going to hold you to that if they make it. This team truly wears its heart on its sleeve. Like Tim said, we're gym rats. Yeah, the coach is gym rat too. And with that, we're done. GMAC, thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Still over 600 people, almost 700 people still watching. 2 hours and 43 minutes in.
A fan base like no other. In case there was any doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nights like this are a reminder. Not that we should need one. So, yes, thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you haven't already done so, like the video. If you're not subscribed to this channel that you're watching this on literally right now, please subscribe to it. And, yeah, let's go Knicks, baby. Keep it moving. This is fun.